Number 10, Matthew Perry's pickleball partner. It's been reported that Matthew played pickleball almost every day with a female friend, and she noticed that he had been fatigued over the last week and appeared tired on the day he died. Matthew's pickleball partner has told how she spotted scary warning signs that he was unwell just hours before his death in his hot tub. Extra host Billy Bush revealed on Instagram that his partner spotted signs he wasn't quite right. He wrote, "I spoke to the woman he played with this morning and every morning. She is in shock. She adored Matt. She said she had been fatigued today and over the past week. A little more than usual too. He played for 1 hour and then he went home." As we know, the 54-year-old star was found dead in his LA home after reportedly drowning in his hot tub. Law enforcement claims 911 dispatched responders at around 4 p.m. local time after a report of cardiac arrest. When they arrived on the scene, they began water rescue protocol after Matthew had seemingly drowned. At the time, it was reported that there were no narcotics on the scene and cops did not suspect any foul play, which many believe adds to the tragedy of his passing. Number 9, last photo ever taken. Matthew Perry last posted on Instagram 5 days before his sudden death at age 54. He shared a nighttime photo of himself inside a hot tub on Monday, October 23rd. In the caption, he wrote, "Oh, so warm water swirling around makes you feel good? I'm Matt Man." If you didn't know, Matt Man is a name he'd used in recent days while posting on social media, where he would often include references and images related to Batman. In the past, he said he felt a connection to the comic book hero, a wealthy but damaged man who used his grief at losing his parents as a child into helping others. He said he felt that he was also helping others by speaking out about his struggles with addiction. In fact, Matthew recently posted a picture of Batman's logo illuminated in red lights with the caption, "Sleep well everybody, I've got the city tonight." The day before the hot tub photo, he posted video of the moon with the caption, "Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? I'm Matt Man." As recently as Tuesday, he posted on Twitter saying, "Let's make stigmas a stigma. I'm Matt Man, hashtag mental health." But it wasn't all cryptic messages. On October 15th, he shared a rare photo of himself with his father, actor John Bennett Perry. In the caption, he wrote, "Here is me and my father John, both holding a beverage." So it seemed like he was just sharing happy memories there. Number 8, Jennifer Aniston's warning. The actress's forward warning to her friend's co-star Matthew Perry amid his alcohol addiction has now resurfaced after his sudden death. As we know, Matthew rose to fame for his role as Chandler Bing on the hit 90s sitcom alongside Jennifer, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, and David Schwimmer. And just last year, he revealed that he and Jennifer had stayed in each other's lives and remained in close contact. He said she was the one that reached out the most. "You know, I'm really grateful to her for that." He went on to reveal that it was just Jennifer who confronted him first about his addictions during the filming of the show, when the symptoms of his problem were just too obvious to ignore. Apparently, she approached him during a break in filming and told him, "We know you're drinking." Looking back on that moment, Matthew thought it was scary. At that point in his life, he said he should have been the toast of the town, but instead he was in a dark room meeting with nothing but dealers, and he felt completely alone. In his own mind, he thought he was doing a perfectly fine job hiding his habits from his co-stars, but at a certain point, they all knew he was in trouble and did their best to support him. Number 7, his co-stars were worried. Matthew spoke about the moment that all of his friends' co-stars found out about it. Matthew said they were all understanding and they were patient with him. Quote, "It's like penguins. Penguins in nature, when one is sick or one is very injured, the other penguins surround it and prop it up. They walk around it until that penguin can walk on its own." That's kind of what the cast did for me. For a while, he thought he could hide behind his infectious humor and push forward with his life on the wings of the success of Friends. He said, "I thought being funny all the time was how I would get through it. I thought Friends was going to fix everything, but it didn't." Ultimately, Matthew would get clean and sober in 2001, but he estimated that he relapsed 60 or 70 times over the years, according to his 2022 memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. Along the way, he had many stints in rehabilitation facilities and suffered through a number of serious health issues, including a 5-month hospitalization in 2018 after his colon ruptured due to overuse. So he had an incredibly long battle just trying to beat his own habits, which was extremely difficult for him, as it would be for anyone. Yes, he said he had a good support system, but it's not always that simple. Number 6, the dramatic weight loss. When sharing about his substance use and the toll it began to take on his body, Matthew confessed he was taking as many as 55 pills a day, which contributed to his weight dropping to just 128 pounds. In an interview last year, he admitted that he didn't know how to stop. He also shared an analogy that explains the power that these substances had over him at the height of his TV career. He said, "If the police came over to my house and said, 'If you drink tonight, we're going to take you to jail,' I'd start packing. I couldn't stop because the disease and the addiction is progressive, so it gets worse and worse as you grow older." At his lowest point, Matthew revealed that he was given just a 2% chance to live while in the hospital. He spoke out this horrific experience in the memoir and how he had the mental strength to survive that trauma. During last year's interview, he told his story and became overcome with emotion, saying, "I'm an extremely grateful guy. I'm grateful to be alive, and that's for sure. And that gives me the possibility to do anything." He went on to reveal that part of his inspiration for writing an open and honest memoir, with all the ups and downs, was the hope that his stories could serve as kind of lifelines for others like Jennifer Aniston was for him. Number 5, Hospitalization. Matthew's memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, a candid, darkly funny book, exposed his struggles with addictions, which got so severe that in 2018, at the age of 49, he suffered a gastrointestinal perforation as a result of his extreme usage. He was given just a 2% chance of living after being comatose for 2 weeks, and the actor had to use a colostomy bag while his colon healed. Matthew revealed that while his body was relying on the bag, he woke up in a horrific state 50 to 60 times throughout the 5 months he was hospitalized. So he made it very clear that he was suffering during this time. And the worst part about all of this was his secret. All it was. Very few people knew that he was going through this. Matthew once joked that viewers of Friends could now tell that substance he was using by observing his changing appearance. He said in his book, "You can track the trajectory for my addiction if you gauge my weight from season to season. While I'm carrying weight, it's alcohol, and when I'm skinny, it's pills. When I have a goatee, it's a lot of pills," which is extremely sad when you think about how well it was hidden from everybody around him. Number 4, shocking revelations. Matthew Perry admitted 2 years ago that he had suffered from anxiety, which often came when he was trying to be as funny as can be in front of the live studio audience for Friends. The admission came up during the HBO Max Friends reunion with Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, and David Schwimmer, which aired in May 2021. He said that trying to be great made him extremely nervous, and his co-stars at the reunion said they never had any idea he was suffering on set, as he always delivered such a fabulous performance while seemingly at ease. He said, "To me, I felt like I was gonna die if they didn't laugh. And it's not healthy for sure, but I would sometimes say a line and they wouldn't laugh, and I would sweat and just go into convulsions if I didn't get the laugh I was supposed to get. I would freak out." His co-star Lisa Kudrow was shocked to hear that. She said that Matthew was always such a cool cucumber, and he was one of the best on set, always delivering a line well as he played Chandler Bing. Even though he never said anything to his co-stars back then, he felt this way every single night. As we know now, his time on Friends was significantly impacted by addiction. Number 3, Memoir Controversy. One surprise takeaway from Matthew Perry's autobiography was his apparent feelings towards Keanu Reeves after he repeatedly questioned why other actors die while Keanu is still alive. But why is it that the original thinkers like River Phoenix and Heath Ledger die, but Keanu Reeves still walks among us? Upon learning that another former co-star, Chris Farley, had died, he wrote, "I punched a hole through Jennifer Aniston's dressing room wall when I found out. Keanu Reeves walks among us." Matthew would later apologize for the comments and released a statement saying, "I'm actually a big fan of Keanu. I just chose a random name and it's my mistake. I apologize. I should have used my own name instead." But that's not all. There were a lot of interesting admissions in his memoir. He also revealed that he asked out Jennifer Aniston before filming Friends. He explained how the two of them were the only Friends stars who knew each other before the show, having met 3 years before through mutual acquaintances. In one part of the book, he wrote, "I was immediately taken by her, and how could I not be? And I liked her, and I got the sense she was intrigued too, but maybe it was going to be something." It's safe to say that fans were more than shocked by that revelation. Number 2. Celebrity reactions. In the wake of Matthew Perry's sudden death, reactions and tributes have been pouring in from the Friends community, including some of his former co-stars. Many of these amazing tributes paying homage to Perry's life and legacy both on and off screen. The official Friends account on Instagram made a post saying, "We are devastated to learn of Matthew Perry's passing. He was a true gift to us all, and our heart goes out to his family, loved ones, and all of his fans." A representative for the actor and law enforcement confirmed his death to NBC News. He was found at his home in Pacific Palisades after an apparent drowning, and he was only 54. Known best for his iconic portrayal of Chandler Bing on the long-running sitcom Friends, Matthew Perry won international recognition and critical acclaim throughout his prolific Hollywood career. Aside from Friends, he also starred in television series and films like Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, Growing Pains, Ally McBeal, 17 Again, and Perry received an Emmy nomination in 2002 for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series for his role as Chandler Bing, and later Emmy and Golden Globe nominations for his performance in the 2007 miniseries The Ron Clark Story. And number 1, co-stars speaking out. The actress who portrayed Chandler's ex-girlfriend Janice on the show, Maggie Wheeler, also remembered the late Matthew Perry in a statement shared with NBC News. She wrote, "Matthew was an incredibly generous actor. There was no single time I stepped onto the stage with him that I did not feel lifted by his brilliance. Even in his darkest moments, his comedic timing was impeccable." Maggie said that Matthew suffered so terribly as his book revealed to the world, and that she hopes he is at peace beyond that suffering. He died way too soon and will be missed by all who loved and knew him in life, and as the beloved Chandler Bing. Maggie also shared a tribute on Instagram alongside a photo of the two of them from the show. She wrote, "What a loss. The world will miss you, Matthew Perry. The joy you brought to so many in your too short lifetime will live on. I feel so very blessed by every creative moment we shared." In the show, Janice and Chandler were no doubt a fan favorite couple. For a recurring character who only appeared in 20 of the show's 236 episodes, Janice's relationship with the gang added a surprisingly interesting subplot to the show. And even though she ultimately didn't end up with Chandler, there are still so many people who love to see their romance unfold on screen.
Coming at number 10, The Secret Gift. When Elvis Presley passed away on August 16, 1977, the world was in shock. Elvis' daughter Lisa was in the next room when her father passed away. Just being 9 years old at the time, the future singer was perhaps more overwhelmed than anyone else. Knowing that she couldn't just send her father off in a coffin without something special from her, she decided to place a special gift inside his coffin. While thousands of fans queued up to pay their final respects to Elvis, just before the doors opened to the venue, Priscilla and Lisa Marie would be escorted to where her father was laying. While the king was styled to look his best, looking upon her father for the final time, Lisa Marie would make one special request. Funeral director Robert Kendall recalled that Lisa asked him if he could give her gift to her father. Robert recalls that she held up this thin metal bracelet and that he agreed once her and Priscilla ensured it would not fall into the wrong hands. With thousands of fans outside, they feared someone would see the loose bangle on Elvis's wrist and take it as a souvenir, so Priscilla and Robert placed it on Elvis's wrist and tucked it underneath his shirt cuff to ensure no one would be able to take this precious gift given to him by Lisa Marie. Number 9, The Empty Seat. Lisa Marie spent many of her days at Graceland as it was her home and heart of Elvis Presley, and she loved the mansion so much because it immortalized the rock and roll legend. Lisa made no secret of her love of the special property that she was reared in and still called home. The late star was lent on the mountain of memories from her childhood to keep the Presley family traditions alive, and that's why she still visited the luxury property regularly to do things Elvis and her used to do. After being open to the public in 1982 and becoming the second most visited private house in America, it became hard for so many to believe that the inner workings of the house still functioned, but Lisa Marie ran a tight ship after inheriting her father's estate. While the kitchen appliances were said to still work, they would be turned off for fire safety, and when Lisa Marie and her family were there, there, the staff would fire them up so the family could have dinner in the mansion. When the tours wrapped up, Lisa Marie and her loved ones could clamor around the huge dining table for family dinners, and they would occasionally leave an empty seat on the end in honor of Elvis. It was almost like she hoped her dad would walk in through the doors and take a seat at the table. But Lisa Marie's favorite excuse to get together was the Thanksgiving holiday, so she could be with her nearest and dearest father. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in at number 8, we have the upstairs room. For millions of fans who flock each year to Elvis Presley's Graceland estate, the home has become a place where they can truly get close to the king of rock and roll. However, Graceland was also a private home for Lisa Marie and her extended family. This is why the upstairs rooms remained off limits to tours of the house, which began in 1983. Lisa Marie will also admit that the upstairs rooms has this creepy shrine to a bygone era when her father was still alive. While all the rooms remained the same as Elvis had left them, Lisa would show off the upstairs rooms, including Graceland's secret room that holds a treasure trove of items. And the location of this exact room still remains a secret to the public. Behind the door that's marked employees only lies a room that no Graceland guest can visit. While the room is so secret, when Oprah's camera crew was allowed to tour the estate, they would have to turn off the camera until they were inside so no one would know the exact location. Inside the room lies treasures that have never been seen by the public. The room was made to be earthquake-proof, fire-proof, and tornado-proof. Items in the room include checks signed by the king of rock and roll, a majority of Elvis's costumes, and cabinets that housed over 60,000 photographs. Number 7. Struggles. Nearly 5 months after her passing, Lisa Marie Presley shared an essay she wrote about navigating grief following the heartbreaking passing of her son, Benjamin. Sources close to the star would exclusively tell the US Sun that the musician was leading a reclusive life and was struggling in the wake of her son's passing. Lisa struggled to find respite from the pain of losing Benjamin, and she found it really difficult to cope with, and this is why she barely left the house for months after his passing. While Lisa Marie looked for various ways to help her manage her feelings of grief and loss, she even started to go in and out of the Church of Scientology for many years as she was trying to find herself a new purpose. In spite of this, those close to her had concerns, and one insider even confessed that Lisa had been struggling so much over the years and living in her dad's shadow. Many who knew her feared that she would pass away at a young age. Lisa is said to have had a lot on her plate in the years and months ahead of her passing, and she was struggling personally with her family relationships and handling her exes. Number 6. Isolation. Due to Lisa Marie's personal struggles, she spent her final days on trying trek between Los Angeles and Graceland. A source close to the family echoed that by saying Presley, who lived most of her life in the limelight, had been living a reclusive life and had especially struggled since her 27-year-old son Benjamin passed away in 2020. In Lisa Marie's final years, she was racked with grief over Ben, as he was her baby and he relied on her so heavily. So after she found out that he had passed away, her whole world completely fell apart and she found it really difficult to cope with, so she spent most of her days in isolation. Despite her personal struggles, Lisa Marie always tried to keep in good spirits, at least when she did venture into the public. And her final speech at Graceland would prompt fans to erupt in applause. While Lisa would also address her grief in an essay for People, she would say, "Grief does not stop or go away in any sense, a year or years after the loss. Grief is something you have to carry with you for the rest of your life, in spite of what certain people or culture wants us to believe." Lisa was struggling and never wanted to admit it, but her heart had been shattered since losing her son, and the grief took a huge toll on her. Number 5. Priscilla Presley. Lisa Marie had mended her relationship with her mom, Priscilla Presley, after her son's devastating passing despite years of prior estrangement. It's said that Lisa Marie had a really rocky relationship with Priscilla due to her troubles and breakdown of her marriage to Michael Lockwood, but they became close again after Ben's passing, and Priscilla supported her as much as she could. During Lisa Marie's divorce with Lockwood, Priscilla chose to stand by him, which caused a lot of friction between the mother and daughter duo. During this time, Priscilla was only able to find comfort from her friends as the relationship between her and Lisa fell apart and she was at loss over what to do at the time. While Lisa filed for divorce in 2016 and claimed she found images of younger people on Michael's computer during the divorce after losing her husband and mother, Lisa would turn to substances to numb the pain. While Michael denied the allegations, it would lead to a messy court and custody battle, and while Lisa needed her mom the most, she knew that her mom was on her ex-husband's side and that she couldn't turn to her for help. With only Lisa knowing what was truly on that computer, she never really detailed the things she actually found on that computer to the public. Number 4, the alarming red carpet appearance. Extra host Billy Bush did the final Golden Globes red carpet review of Lisa Marie Presley and immediately realized that something was amiss. Just 2 days before her passing, Lisa Marie would walk the red carpet at the Golden Globes. She attended to support the Elvis biopic of her father. Since Bush has recalled his brief red carpet talk with an ashen and unsteady Lisa Marie by saying she was very uneven in her balance. The speech was very slow, and definitely when the interview was over, I turned to my producer next to me and said, "Something's off here." She was certainly with it, just a second slow, but she was there. She was definitely there, just a tad off in some way. For the interview, stars had to navigate 2 steps to the platform where he stood, but Presley was struggling to do so, so Bush went down and met the star on the red carpet itself. Also, there's been videos at the event that show her walking unsteadily and being escorted by her manager, who grabbed her arm to give her support. It's clear that something was going on with the star and she didn't want to talk about it. Number 3, the safe place. Much has been said about the secrets that lie within Elvis Presley's Graceland bedroom. The private sanctuary has remained off limits to the public since his passing. However, during an interview in 2013, Lisa Marie spilled secrets about the room, and she would say Elvis Presley's bedroom was one of the places she would feel the safest. It said that Lisa would always keep a key for the upstairs with her and go up there, and up there was just Elvis and her bedroom. While the rooms are said to be a sanctuary, she always felt like she could shut the door and feel the safest and calmest. This is why she kept the area the same as Elvis has left it. The area still having a lot of Elvis's flair for the flamboyant and reflected the decorating taste of the 1970s. The king of rock and roll, only child admitted. Oh, it's showy. It's got a long shag carpet, a black bed, and red walls, gold, everything here and there. Number 2, the friendship with the Duchess of York. Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, penned a touching tribute to Lisa Marie Presley after the singer passed away on Thursday, revealing their surprising friendship. Sarah would say, "I say hello to you every day and I love you, my sissy, and I will continue to say hello to you every day. You were my sissy, an amazing mother to Ben, Riley, Harper, and Finley, and a superbly loving daughter to Priscilla. You have been my devoted friend for many years, and I am here for your family to support and love them. I am deeply saddened, my sissy. You are in my heart." A close friend to Prince Andrew's ex-wife told Page 6 that the two women originally met when Lisa was living in Sussex, England with her ex-husband Michael Lockwood back in 2010. Apparently they hit it off straight away and that they just seemed to understand each other. Over the years, the pair became quite close and kept in touch when Lisa moved back to the States. Lisa was always really supportive of the Duchess and when she was going through tough times, and Lisa even offered her refuge in Hawaii to weather out the storm. The Duchess was never able to forget that, and Lisa even went out of her way to support her friend, and that the two actually really bonded as sisters. And coming at number 1 today, we have The Secret Job. Although Lisa was a singer and songwriter that spent most of her life in her home country of America, the daughter of Elvis also called Sussex home for a while. While she also laddered herself a very different type of job when compared to her usual career, as she was actually working in a fish and chip van in the village despite owning a 15th century grade 2 listed country mansion. It appears that Lisa wanted to get stuck in with the village life and thought the best way she could do that was to serve the locals. The van was apparently owned by local pub owners Kim and Justin Scales, and it was a job that Lisa reportedly loved doing. Back in 2012, Kim would say that the singer could not wait to don an apron and serve people, and she found it really amusing when people did not know it was her. Although being the daughter of one of the most iconic singers in the world, Lisa wanted to be fully integrated in the life in Sussex Village, and she really enjoyed her shifts.
At number 10, Rock Hudson. Imagine taking one of the biggest secrets about who you really are to your grave. That's essentially what happened with famed Hollywood actor Rock Hudson. Rock was one of the hottest leading males in Hollywood in his heyday, but he lived with a huge secret for his whole life, and people didn't end up finding out about it until after his passing. When Rock passed away in 1985, it was revealed that he had died from AIDS. He became one of the first and most famous Hollywood celebrities to pass away from the illness. Because the illness was so heavily associated with being gay, speculation Speculation began to float around saying that Rock had been hiding his sexuality from the public this whole time. This all turned out to be 100% true, as friends and family of Rock confirmed what the public had been thinking in a biography on the actor. In the book, it was revealed that he had an ex-boyfriend named Lee Garlington, and he was described as Rock's true love. Rock's secret was really only known by his closest friends and family and an inner circle of Hollywood, and a lot of them fought to keep his sexuality a secret in order to preserve his career. I couldn't imagine how tough it would be to have to keep such a big part of who you are a secret from the world. At number 9, David Cassidy. Oftentimes we try our best to be open and honest with our struggles in life, but for some it's hard to share some of the things that you might not be too proud of. This is what caused actor David Cassidy to keep a pretty big secret from the public that wasn't actually revealed until after he passed away. Before he passed away, David shared with the public his struggles with dementia. Fans believed that the actor was suffering from the disease, and so when news broke of his death, people just assumed that it was the dementia that ultimately took him. But it wasn't until the documentary about the actor called David Cassidy, The Last Session, came out that the public learned the truth about David's health. It turned out that the actor was never actually diagnosed with dementia, and that this wasn't what was harming his health. Instead, it was alcohol poisoning that he was struggling with, and that ultimately took his life. In the documentary, the actor admitted to everything, saying, quote, "There is no sign of me having dementia at this stage in my life. It was complete alcohol poisoning, and the fact is, I lied about my drinking." End quote. One of the documentary's producers spoke out about having known about the actor's struggles before the public, where they said, quote, "We didn't want to exploit him, but ultimately he was honest about what killed him, and we decided that his legacy would be best served if we shared that." End quote. Before we carry on talking about some of the juiciest celebrity secrets, why not take a brief moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, why not subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Gene Wilder. When someone is diagnosed with a serious illness, it becomes a very tough and very personal decision of whether or not to tell people about it. I know people who chose to keep their illness a secret until the end, and this is exactly what actor Gene Wilder did. Gene passed away in 2016, but it wasn't until after he died that the public learned about the secret that he was keeping in regards to his health. It turned out that the actor had been battling Alzheimer's for over 3 years before he passed away. After learning this, a lot of people wanted to know why this news was kept secret from the public, and the reason behind it is so touching. Gene didn't reveal his condition to the public because he wanted people to remember him as he was, and not someone who was sick. He wanted to keep the smiles on the faces of his fans. In a statement released by Gene's family, they elaborated on the situation, saying, quote, "The decision to wait until this time to disclose his condition wasn't vanity, but more so that the countless young children that would smile or call out to him, 'There's Willy Wonka,' would not have to be then exposed to an adult referencing illness or trouble and causing delight to travel to worry, disappointment, or confusion. He simply couldn't bear the idea of one less smile in the world." End quote. At number 7, Cory Haim. Unfortunately, as much as there's glitz and glam in Hollywood, there's also a dark side, one of those dark sides being harming and manipulating others. This is sadly something that actor Cory Haim experienced as a child actor in Hollywood. Both he and his best friend Corey Feldman experienced the dark side of Hollywood, and though Feldman has been pretty outspoken about what he endured, Haim on the other hand kept that top secret. The one thing that he kept absolutely hidden was the identity of the person who seriously harmed him. Haim went to the grave knowing the identity of the person who harmed him, but this secret isn't completely lost, as it's alleged that Corey Feldman actually knows who did it. Feldman tried in the past to get his friend to expose the person who caused him so much pain, but Haim refused because he was so scared that this individual would try and hurt them again. Haim made Corey promise that he would share the story of what happened to them if he died, and Corey did share some details, but again, the identity of the person who hurt Cory Haim remains a secret. At number 6, Sally Ride. Up next we have another celebrity who unfortunately didn't get to live their life as open as they should have been able to, as they went to the grave with a huge secret. Astronaut Sally Ride was the first American woman to go to space. She became widely known for her presence in the NASA community, promoting education and interest in space, and specifically devoted much of her life to helping girls excel in STEM. She did a lot for her community, especially women and young girls, but there was another community that she was a part of that no one really knew about until after she passed away. When Sally passed away in 2012, her title grew to not only be the first American woman to go to space, but also the first astronaut to be acknowledged as gay. Sally's sexuality was never public knowledge until her obituary named a woman named Tan O'Shaughnessy as her partner of 27 years. At number 5, Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston's personal life was often a hot topic in the media during her life. People were obsessed with what went on behind closed doors, the good and the bad. Though a lot of her personal life was exposed, one thing that remained a secret until her tragic passing was a horrible incident that she had endured when she was younger. After some digging and a published documentary, the world learned that Whitney was once a victim of inappropriate contact. After the singer passed away, her former assistant told the documentary team that Whitney had once confided in her to tell her about what she had endured when she was younger. The assistant told cameras, quote, "Whitney looked at me and said, 'Mary, I was harmed at a young age too, but it wasn't by a man, it was a woman. She had tears in her eyes. She says, Mommy doesn't know the things that we went through.'" End quote. Though she never spoke publicly about what happened to her, it is believed that Whitney once hinted at it in an interview when she got really emotional when talking about adults taking advantage of children. At number 4, George Michael. Imagine being portrayed negatively in the media for basically your whole career just for the narrative to make a 180 after your passing. This is the case with singer George Michael and how his public image changed after he passed away. During his career, George was seen as scandalous and the media really dug into this while he was alive, but after he passed away in 2016, the truth about who George Michael really was came out, and it was a very different narrative. He took the secret of his philanthropy to his grave, but many people wish that he was around to be appreciated for giving back to the people. The public came to learn that the singer made many large donations to a wide array of charities like cancer support groups and the Terrence Higgins Trust, which is an HIV awareness group. He kept all of his donations a secret and made sure that no one receiving these donations knew that he was behind it. He was a secret angel giving back to people without receiving any credit, which just shows that this help was genuine, not just for good press. At number 3, Prince. Another celebrity who was something of a secret angel of sorts was Prince. After he passed away in 2016, secrets about the singer started to come out, some of those secrets being about his philanthropy. One person, an environmentalist who worked for the Green Jobs Act, came forward to talk about one of the donations that they had once received anonymously from Prince, where they said that they received a check for $50,000. At first, they sent the check back because it was so out of the blue and they didn't really trust it, but to their surprise, the check came back again, this time with a phone call. The environmentalist then went on to say that the person on the phone said, quote, "I cannot tell you who the money is coming from, but his favorite color is purple." End quote. On top of this anonymous donation, Prince also co-founded an educational effort to help teach minority youths technology called #YesWeCode, and he also made a donation to the family of Trayvon Martin. Speaking out about Prince's philanthropy, his ex-wife said that he never wanted to make these donations public so as to not overshadow the charity or the case. At number 2, Anthony Perkins. Known for his role as Norman Bates in the Hitchcock film Psycho, actor Anthony Perkins lived a pretty quiet and private life, but he also took a very big secret to his grave. When news broke of his passing in 1992, it came as a sudden shock to people. But what the public didn't know at the time was that Anthony had been secretly battling a serious illness that he kept from the public. For 2 years before his passing, the actor had been secretly receiving treatment for AIDS. Speaking out about her husband's treatment, Anthony's wife told sources, quote, "He went twice to stay at a hospital and once as an outpatient, and we went under another name. You think that this man has spent his entire life giving people so much pleasure in show business, and this is his reward. He can't even be himself at the end." End quote. Anthony knew that when the public found out about his condition after his passing, there would be a lot of questions as to why he never publicly revealed his condition, and so before he died, he wrote a statement to be read once he passed on. In the statement, the actor wrote, quote, "I chose not to go public about having AIDS because, to misquote Casablanca, I'm not much at being noble, but it doesn't take much to see that the problems of one old actor doesn't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world." End quote. And finally, at number 1, Billy Tipton. Billy Tipton was a famous jazz musician who kept a huge secret from everyone. This secret was so hush-hush that not even his closest friends or family knew. Billy had a pretty solid career in the beginning. The 40s and 50s were Billy's time to shine, rising to fame and taking American jazz by storm. Billy's career started to decline, however, after he declined an offer for a recording contract and to open for Liberace. After that, the musician started to fade out of the spotlight. Over the course of his life, Billy was married 5 times, adopted 3 kids, and was considered to be a real family man. But one day, when Billy suddenly collapsed, his secret was revealed. While paramedics were trying to save him, it was discovered that Billy wasn't biologically male. Like I mentioned before, no one knew. Literally no one, so this came as a shock to everyone. It turns out that Billy dressed as a man in order to be allowed into the world of jazz. Because of this huge secret, Billy was forced to live a pretty private life in order to avoid being caught.
Number 10. Unheard song covers. Over her career, Tina Turner has written and performed dozens of original songs that are still popular to this day. Much like a large portion of musicians back in the day though, she took time to perform covers of songs from other artists. She performed a rendition of Let's Dance with David Bowie, covered Elton John's The Snitch Is Back, and several others over the years. Tina retired from performing in the early 2010s, and since then there's been a massive slew of successful songs that the artists totally should have covered. What would Tina Turner's version of Poker Face have sounded like? Did she ever want to do a cover of Uptown Funk with Bruno Mars? There will never be a Land Down Under What's Love Got to Do With It mashup. We have to imagine that Tina was keeping track of current music trends, and she almost certainly kept like a little book of names of people that she wanted to collaborate with. I think we can all agree the afterlife is going to have an epic playlist going 24/7. Number 9. Tina Turner toys. In 2021, Tina Turner was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame again. This time as an individual though, as she was previously inducted into the hall alongside of her former husband and musical partner Ike Turner. Another honor came that year though in the creation of Tina's very own Barbie doll. The doll boasts Tina's iconic hairstyle as well as her on-point fashion sense. This doll looks like it's going to burst into song and kick the night away. But we can only imagine that this wasn't the first time she tried to capitalize on her fame with a toy. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, I was not alive yet, but I did grow up with a lot of the toys from that era. If it was on TV or in the mainstream, it seemed to have some kind of product to go along with it. With Tina's career kicking off strong around the early 70s, it would have made perfect sense for her record company to release Tina Turner dolls or some kind of like a sing-along kit. For all we know, those products were pitched but met with negative results. And now we'll never know if somewhere out there sits a prototype for a Tina Turner talking teddy. I'm writing that down, that's good. Number 8. Smart shopper. In her youth, Tina found a home at Club Manhattan, a music venue in Tennessee. It was there that she met rock and roll pioneer and future ex-husband Ike Turner. Ike and Tina were together for a very long time, and as we know now, their relationship was filled with physical altercations, mental and control. By the mid-1970s, they had finally split after an altercation in Dallas broke Tina's limits. Following their split, Tina began giving her solo career a shot. Despite the success of her time on stage with Ike, she was left with next to nothing following the divorce. In her HBO documentary, she tells the audience that when Ike left, she had 36 cents in her pocket and a gas station credit card. To care for her children and put food on the table, Tina would collect food stamps and even clean houses. As someone who's witnessed the work of a single mother firsthand, seriously, my sister is a rock star, they tend to get pretty good at smart shopping. In 1983, Turner's solo career turned around after gaining some traction following the release of her cover of Al Green's Let's Stay Together, which soared to the top 5 R&B charts in the States and in the UK. This means that between 1976 and 1983, Tina was making life work, and we can only imagine the tips and tricks she must have learned over the years to make life as a single mama a second-hand emotion. I assume that means easy. I don't know for sure. It sounds good. Number 7. Her vocal warm-ups. There are 2 things we can agree on in this world. Number 1, the moon is actually a government satellite, and number 2, Tina Turner has an incredible voice. Tina has been serenading our eardrums since taking her first breath into the microphone when she started singing at her local church in Nutbush, Tennessee. That is a rough name for a town. Her voice is always on point, but she never actually shared her warm-up routine with anybody. With such a powerful voice at your disposal, the process of prepping it for hours of usage must be intense. As a theater kid, I know for a fact that vocal warm-ups are essential to a clear and concise performance. I also know that you shouldn't eat dairy before a big show, but they still gave us pizza before everything when we went on, so who knows. We wish we could have learned what she did to prep such an iconic voice. Was there tea involved, or was it more like Sharpay in High School Musical, you know? Brr, brr, ma, ma. Never know. Number 6. Skincare routine. Tina was taken from us at the age of 83 after spending over 50 years on stage. Now, most musicians begin to show their age after only a few years of touring, but Tina's skin stood still. Up until the day she passed, Tina was a beautiful woman. Somehow at the age of 83, she looked like she was a slightly older version of her 40-year-old self. If there is one thing we wish was revealed in her HBO documentary Tina, it would be her beauty secrets. Not only is Tina herself famous and beautiful, but her legs are considered their own separate being. She famously kicks and swings so much during her shows that we're convinced her legs have a mind and personality of their own. Even in her 80s, we're sure Tina was kicking and singing all the way to the end, but seriously, how did you look so good for that long? Number 5. Missed film opportunities. In case you weren't aware, there was a little film franchise back in the day starring Mel Gibson called Mad Max. He played the titular Max as we followed his journey through a desert wasteland where gas is the only currency we care about. In the franchise's third installment, Tina Turner was cast to act alongside Mel as Auntie Entity. Not only did she deliver a solid performance for her first real acting gig, but she also dropped a killer song for the flick called We Don't Need Another Hero. Her appearance on screen was a fun surprise for Mad Max fans, but it left us craving more. We have to imagine that she received other offers over the years for film roles, but what? When? Why? The idea of Tina Turner having a career on the big screen isn't outside of the realm of possibility, as historically musicians have been able to make similar moves with positive receptions. Post Malone is famous for his music, but did you know that he's been acting lately and he's doing like a really good job at it? Mark Wahlberg started out as a rapper named Mackie Mac, and now he's in the Transformers universe. And Ice Cube made a trilogy of successful comedies in the Friday franchise. The examples are endless, and there are so many iconic characters that Tina could have played over the years. Just imagine if Tina had popped up in a Marvel movie, our minds would have been blown. Number 4. Substance use. Tina's ex-husband, Ike, was an absolutely horrible human being. Throughout his entire relationship to Tina, Ike was being aggressive and physical behind the scenes. While the couple seemed to be happy together on stage, the reality was Tina hated being with him and he controlled most of her early career. So much so that the name Tina Turner was actually trademarked by Ike as another form of control. Over the years, details have surfaced about Ike's long history with substances and no-no juice, and they're hard to hear. Thankfully, Tina got out of that marriage and Ike was sentenced to prison for 18 months for possessing no-no snow. In fact, he was serving that sentence when himself and Tina were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1991. While Tina was able to get free of Ike's clutches, the reality is she was stuck with a terrible man for a long time, and famously that has led people to do terrible things to cope with the stress or anxiety. Tina talked about a truly dark time in her life and mental health in her documentary, where she attempted to end her own life following the revelation that Ike was cheating on her with multiple women. But this is just one instance that we know of. Tina didn't talk about Ike much, so the idea that she may have had more stories to share is likely, but unfortunately we will never know for sure. Number 3. An affair. In the HBO documentary about her life, Tina discusses the topic of infidelity and loyalty along with the specifics of her relationship with Ike Turner. As we know now, Ike was cheating on Tina with several women throughout their relationship, but it appears that Tina herself may have had some extramarital affairs as well. During the documentary, Tina mentioned that she has not had one love affair that was genuine and long-lasting. Okay, hold up, does that mean that she did have affairs, they just weren't with anyone that she loved? It would make sense that Tina would seek love from another man, considering just how cruel and abrasive Ike really was. While there's never been a confirmation of Tina's infidelity, the way she talks about her love life in reference to loveless affairs makes us think that she's had some secret lovers in the past, and we'll never know. Well, not lovers, more like acquaintances, according to her. Number 2. Ancient wisdom. Tina spent the majority of her youth singing in church choirs and at local music venues. As she got older, she only grew more and more talented, and apparently her religious views grew as well. Towards the end of her life, Tina adhered to the teachings of the Soka Gakkai International, the largest Buddhist organization in the world, consisting of about 12 million practitioners. They exist under the belief that peace of the land depends on transforming the heart and mind of one individual at a time. Tina spent a long time living in this lifestyle as she was introduced to the concept by a friend in the 1970s. Tina found a lot of peace in her meditation sessions, but did she also find the answers to the universe? Tina had been through so much in her life, romantically, emotionally, family-wise, yet somehow she not only remained positive, but she was eventually able to forgive those who caused her harm in the past. The calm and comforting manner in which Tina existed makes us think that during those meditation sessions, some kind of door was unlocked in her mind, allowing her to release all the problems in her life and move on. I want that. Can I have that, please? Number 1. Tried to have Ike taken out. Phil Spector was one of the most prolific record producers of the early 1960s. He quickly recognized the potential in Tina, but noticed there were some outside issues holding her back. Specifically, her boy toy Ike was kind of a Phil knew about the rocky relationship and set a plan in motion to have Ike dealt with. In the documentary Tina, it was revealed that Phil once paid someone to distract Ike while Tina was in studio sessions to just get him out of the room and allow Tina to do her thing without the stress and pressure of Ike being right there. While the doc confirmed this one story, Spector was a man who had friends in high places. If he wanted someone taken care of, it was gonna happen. Maybe he hired this person to get a feel for Ike before deciding if he really needed to take him out for good. Tina worked with Spector on her career milestone collaboration, River Deep Mountain High, and while at first it was a major flop, it went on to be one of the most iconic songs she's ever performed. Look at that. Take a person you hate out of the equation and there's nowhere to go but up.
Starting off our list today in the number 10 spot, we have Unpaid Debts to Unknown People. On April 20th, TMZ posted a pretty alarming article that pretty much hinted that there may have been foul play when it comes to Aaron Carter's tragic passing. With Aaron's fiancée, Melanie Martin, speaking out about the results of his passing, she would say that they have not brought her closure as she still has a lot of questions, as when the star passed away, he was found wearing a t-shirt and a necklace in a tub, which doesn't make any sense, as why would he be in a bathtub with his clothes on? While Melanie continues to speak to TMZ, she went on to note she was thinking about having everything re-examined for a second time because she believes Aaron would not want no stone unturned. With Melanie previously telling publications that there had been text exchanges on Aaron's phone between him and an unknown person for an $800 bill, Aaron's mother has also urged the police to open a more thorough investigation into her son's passing, as there could be foul play involved. And police have not investigated it as a possible crime scene because of his addiction. While speculation still seems to surround the moments prior to Aaron's passing, it's not hard to see that there's something strange going on, and it makes you wonder what Hollywood might be trying to cover up. Number 9. Substance abuse. When Aaron Carter's mental health started to spiral out of control in his early 20s, his struggles with anxiety and depression led to a dangerous addiction. When Aaron sat down with Entertainment Tonight, he told the outlet that when he was doing Dancing with the Stars in 2009, he developed an addiction to medication because of his stage fright. Later, he would confess on Where Are They Now with Oprah that his depression was brought on because he loved his family being together and he didn't want to see his parents get divorced. He felt like he couldn't dwell on it. Eventually, all the stress caused the singer to begin to self-medicate, and in addition to the medication, he also started to drink really heavily. At this point in his life, he also began to tell people around him that he was on a bad path and that he needed help. He even told Oprah, "So I called my mother and I called my brother, and my mother came and picked me up and took me to her house. The next day, I was at the Betty Ford Center." He completed the 1-month program in 2011, and in 2016, Aaron opened up about life after treatment when he admitted that he wasn't going to abuse things anymore and he was just gonna do life his own way. Hey friends, what's up? Are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss out on what we might just cover next. Number 8. Chilling prediction. After Aaron checked into rehab in September 2017, he sat down for an interview with US Weekly, and in the interview, the star would make a chilling prediction, with Aaron eerily revealing that when he was growing up, he didn't think he was ever going to make it that far, when he said, "I thought I would pass away by 30. Even when I was 13, 14, I thought, oh my god, I'm going to pass away." When reflecting on his stardom 21 years earlier, he would admit to the media outlet that his life had been pretty tough for him, as he had to deal with a lot of trauma, a lot of loss, loneliness, and he felt like he just needed to get away from everything. At the time of the interview, he was also checking himself into rehab for one of multiple times. He would then go on to explain that he had been burnt, but his goal was to be a phoenix that rises from the ashes, before adding that he was shocked that he was actually turning 30. Number 7. The engagement. Aaron Carter's engagement to Carrie Ann Pench was as fleeting as it was random. And according to People, when Aaron was just 18 years old, this is when he popped the question in front of an audience of 200 people on stage for a comedy tour in Las Vegas back in 2006. Carrie, who was 22 at the time, had previously dated Aaron's older brother Nick Carter. Surprisingly, she said yes. Then 6 days later, Aaron called off the engagement, which would then have Carrie reach out to media outlets to say he's really young and he just needs to get his act together. "I don't know what's going on right now. We're friends and maybe we'll get back together sometime. We haven't ruled out getting back together." Aaron then later opened up about the brief affair on E! News when he said, "I made a mistake and she made a mistake too. So we both did. I was by myself and all of a sudden someone threw it out as a joke and I said, okay, whatever, I'll do it. And I did it on impulse." So it really makes us question, was this just a really short relationship or was it a publicity stunt? Number 6. Chronic health problems. When Aaron Carter's fans started to freak out due to the singer looking relatively skinny due to his chronic health problems in 2015, Aaron went into defense mode during a Twitter rant when he started blaming his weight loss on his anxiety after cyberbullies started to accuse the singer of using hardcore narcotics. In his tweet, he would say, "The way people talk about my weight is like high school times a million. Just so we are very clear, I don't do substances." Later, Nicki Swift would even report that Aaron broke down discussing the effects of his conditions in July of 2017 when he said, "Unless you're in my body, you don't know. I'm sorry for the way I look. I weigh 135, 140, and I'm 5'8". Doctors said to avoid stress because I can develop cancer. He also went on to admit that he found it really hard to look in the mirror sometimes and that it hurt so bad because there was nothing he could do about it. Number 5, struggle to come out. In August of 2017, Aaron Carter came out on Twitter to confirm his sexuality with his fans. In the tweet, Aaron came out to say, "This doesn't bring me shame, just weight and burden I have held onto for a long time that I would like lifted off of me. There were years that went by that I thought about it, but it wasn't until I was 17 years old. After a few relationships with girls, I had an experience with a male that I had an attraction to, who I also worked with and grew up with. Sadly, Madison Parker did not feel the same way, and the two would then call it quits." Later, Aaron would make an appearance on The Burt Show to discuss everything that happened with his split with Madison, go on to say, "I had to discuss being bisexual with my ex-girlfriend, and she didn't really understand it. She didn't want to, and that was it, so we left it mutual and we parted ways." Before going on to note that he's been thinking about everything for years, and he felt like it was really important to come out at this time and say everything he was hiding, as he was starting a new chapter of his life, and he was really looking forward to the future and was excited to find whether he was going to be with a man or a woman. Number 4, the restraining order. Being so close at a young age, no one thought Aaron and Nick Carter's relationship would ever change. But things definitely, somewhere along the line, took a dark turn for the stars in 2019 after Nick took out a restraining order against his little brother. After Aaron unleashed a series of angry tweets and since deleted tweets against his older brother, Nick would clearly air on Twitter with a shocking revelation when he said, "After careful consideration, my sister Angel and I regret that we were required to seek a restraining order against our brother Aaron today. In the lights of Aaron's increasingly alarming behavior and his recent confession that he harbors dark thoughts, we were left with no choice but to take every measure possible to protect ourselves and our family. We love our brother and truly hope he gets the proper treatment he needs before any harm comes to himself or anyone else." Aaron clearly didn't take too well to his family's tweets, to say at least, and he immediately replied to the snub with his own message saying, "I haven't seen him in 4 years and I don't intend to. Take care, Nick Carter. We're done for life." Number 3, bankruptcy. Back in 2013, Aaron Carter started to make headlines after he filed for bankruptcy, with his publicist telling CNN at the time it wasn't a negative thing and it was more of a positive thing, as the star was doing everything he could to move forward from the bulk of debt he was facing due to the fact he lost a massive amount of money when he wasn't in control of his own finances. The singer then went on to clarify why he filed for bankruptcy when he said, "There was a lot of neglect on my parents' part. They didn't do things right. Under the Coogan law, my parents were supposed to be putting 15% of my money into my Coogan account. I got $2 million when I turned 18 years old. I should have had at least $20 million in my account. And at the time, this is also when Aaron realized he owed around $4 million in taxes." While Aaron definitely didn't hold any grudges towards anyone for his financial situation, he also went on to tell GQ, "I don't want people thinking my parents broke child labor laws. So I was like, I can handle this. I love my mom and dad, and they are responsible for giving me my career, and I still have one today. So I'll file for bankruptcy, and I'll pay 25 cents on the dollar for every cent I pay back." Number 2, the feud. Even with there being 8 years between them, Nick and Aaron actually used to make quite an adorable team, but they weren't exactly always as thick as thieves. When fans first caught a glimpse of their rocky relationship when a heated argument between the two ended in a fistfight on their 2006 reality show, House of Carters, and in July 2017, their estrangement took another hit when Aaron got arrested for driving under the influence. Although Nick tweeted out to support his brother, Aaron would then go on to accuse him of not really being genuine, as he decided to bring up the conversation on a public forum. As of 2019, the brothers were still on outs, and not only did Nick have a restraining order on his little brother, but Aaron also called out his brother and pretty much insinuated that Nick's charges had truth to them, and if things couldn't get worse, Aaron also stated that Nick was capable of harming him when he went on to say, "I'm so scared that something is going to happen to me. I endured so much abuse from Nick, and I don't know what he's capable of. If something happens, I let God lead the way, and he is with me." And coming in number 1 today, we have the rocky relationship with mom. Aaron Carter's mom, Jane Carter, devoted her life to building her talented sons' careers. But her momager tendencies even put Kris Jenner to shame. In the family's 2005 20 out of 20 special, she would say, "I sacrificed my whole entire life for that child and for the other child for the sake of that family. I made sacrifices every day. I was willing to do it for them, for the family." But the Carter kids lost their mom in the process. And it even had Aaron admit all he ever wanted was for his mom to love him and to just be his mom. Aaron's dad, Bob Carter, then went on to explain when Nick grew up, Aaron became the cash cow, and all mom loved at the time was the person bringing in the money. To make matters even worse, Jane also went on to write a tell-all book about her sons and how she allegedly stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from their fortunes. Aaron would then later come out to discuss everything that happened when he said, "Every show we did, we'd probably make about $40,000, $50,000 a show, and it was all gone." Fame and fortune then went on to cost Jane her family, and she would even admit, "It taught me a really big lesson, that all material things in the world are not important compared to the amount of time that you can spend with your children."
3. And at number 10, Bob Saget. Legendary comedian Bob Saget passed away suddenly on January 9th in a hotel room in Orlando. Immediately after his passing, fans were speculating on how he passed. After some investigation, it was reported that there was no foul play or use of substances, that he most likely just passed away of a heart attack or stroke. But the autopsy has just come back, and we know that he actually died of blunt force trauma to the head, a much different story than what was said before. The night before he died, Saget did a show at a concert hall in Jacksonville, Florida. Then he was found unresponsive in his room at the Ritz-Carlton in Orlando, quote, in a face-upward position on his bed, according to a police report. Police are now saying a fall could be the reason, but other experts are claiming the force used is similar to that of a baseball bat, raising even more questions. As of now, Saget's family is blocking the release of any records pertaining to the case over privacy issues, so it seems we may never know what really happened to cause his death. And at number 9, Nia Rivera. Nia Rivera, best known from the show Glee, shocked the world when it was reported that she had gone missing in a lake in July of 2020. She was out on a boat with her young son, and after many hours on the water, the boat returned with only her son on it. Her child was found asleep on the vessel by a boater that afternoon, alongside Rivera's purse, wallet, and ID, but Nia was nowhere to be found. After searching the lake for days, her body was discovered. The Ventura County Sheriff's Department announced on July 13th that they had recovered her body following an extensive search and recovery effort. Since then, her death has been ruled an accident, but for many fans, the whole thing just seems too strange to be true, and unfortunately, we will never know the full story of what happened on the boat that day. And at number 8, Michael Jackson. The King of Pop died suddenly at the age of 50 after suffering a cardiac arrest in June of 2009. But there's been so much mystery around his death, it went from being ruled an OD to a homicide. He was found unresponsive in his home, and it was determined that he ingested too much of a substance. After investigation, his personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, was charged with manslaughter, with the courts arguing he prescribed Jackson much more than was needed, and his prescription caused his death. The years after his passing, allegations of inappropriate conduct from former friends of Jackson's came to light. And ever since, fans have been trying to figure out what really happened between Jackson and the kids he would spend time with at his home. The secrets of what truly happened will now never be uncovered. And at number 7, Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin is known for a lot of things, specifically being one of the founding fathers of the USA, but it seems he was not always faithful to his wife, and he had a mysterious son with another woman. The son, named William Franklin, was clear he was the son of Franklin's, but notoriously mysterious over who his mother was. Some suspect he was born before Ben married Deborah Reed, making him illegitimate. Another theory is that he cheated on his wife with a mistress who ended up getting pregnant. William was involved with his father's business and even became noteworthy in his own right for helping his father in his famous kite experiment. He eventually settled in England to distance himself from the family, and when he passed, he never revealed who his mother was. And at number 6, Kurt Cobain. Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain tragically passed away at the age of 27 in 1994 and is a member of the infamous 27 Club. Law enforcement determined that Cobain took his own life, but there was a lot of inconsistencies in his case that led many to speculate that's not actually how he died. A book was even written blaming the whole thing on Cobain's wife, Courtney Love. The book claims that he died of an OD before being shot by Love. A private detective who was hired determined that Love even tried to pay someone to have them kill Cobain for her. This man claimed he was offered $50,000 and even passed a polygraph proving it. Although Love was never officially charged, she's guilty in the court of public opinion, and many fans are convinced she is responsible, but only Cobain knows the truth. And at number 5, Ludwig van Beethoven. On his deathbed, Beethoven wrote a love letter to the love of his life, although he didn't address it to anyone, so we have no idea who this woman was. When he died in 1827, a letter was left to the Germans' immortal beloved. It was later determined that he wrote the letter years before in 1812. Scholars have tried to speculate who his beloved could be, but there is no clear answer. The most likely choice seems to be Antoine Bertinato. She was close with him, mainly because she was actually married to a good friend of his. Others proposed Josephine Countess von Brunswick as the most likely candidate because he had written her love letters in the past. It was speculated that since she was poor and of low social standing, he was not allowed to be open about his true feelings for her. Since he never told anyone, only he knows the answer. And at number 4, the Black Dahlia. The Black Dahlia is one of the most infamous cases in LA history. On January 15th of 1947, 22-year-old Elizabeth Short's body was found dead in a vacant lot near a park in LA. The state of her body was the most concerning. Her body was cut in half and all the blood was drained from it. Her body was also perfectly clean, so no evidence was able to be collected from it. There was only one witness that was any help to police. The person claimed they saw a black sedan parked in the area the night before. Since her passing, there have been tons of theories about how or why it happened. And even though so much time has passed, nobody has ever been charged for the crime. Today, the Black Dahlia case remains one of the oldest cold case files in LA, as well as the city's most famous. And at number 3, Prince. Prince is one of the most legendary singers of all time, who made a huge impact on the industry, but his shocking death left many with unanswered questions, and many fans are still convinced we don't know the full story. On April 21st of 2016, he was found unresponsive in an elevator at the Paisley Park studio. Initially, the police marked it as an accident because when he passed away, he had many substances in his system. No charges were filed against anyone, even though many of Prince's fans do not believe he would have done this. Years later, there is still no definitive answers, specifically no idea how he got these substances and how he was able to ingest so much. According to sources that knew him very well, he didn't use any of these substances and had no intentions to start. Because there's still so many unanswered questions, the case remains open. And at number 2, George Reeves. In 1959, actor George Reeves was killed under very mysterious circumstances. He made a name for himself playing Superman in the 1950s TV show Adventures of Superman, but his career was cut short after he was killed. At the age of 45, he was killed by a shot to the head. The strange death was then labeled as him taking his own life, but many fans do not believe this could be the case. It was rumored that he was intentionally killed or the death was completely accidental. To add even more strangeness, the death happened while Reeves was with 3 other people, including his fiancée. But even though all those people most likely witnessed what actually happened, none of them ever told. And finally, number 1, Nicole Brown Simpson. One of the most talked about cases of all time is the case of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. Their death started the case of O.J. Simpson that would become the trial of the century. Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman were killed outside Simpson's Brentwood, California condo in 1994. After some investigation, it was clear that O.J., her ex-husband, was the prime suspect. His DNA had been found at the crime scene, and witnesses saw him leaving the scene of the crime that night. After an intense and highly publicized trial, he was found not guilty, and with no other suspects considered, the person responsible is still out there. Although many people are convinced that O.J. is the person who did it, and lucky circumstances are the real reason he got off. He was later found guilty of committing the act in a civil lawsuit done by Ron Goldman's family, but because of O.J.'s financial troubles, he has not paid this debt. Years later, O.J. went to prison for robbery and is now out free.
Number 10. His final words. The first police officer at the scene when Tupac passed away revealed in 2014 what the very last words he ever spoke were. Last words are a defining moment in our lives, the final sentence that leaves our lips before we vanish. Sometimes it's lovely and meaningful, but as you may expect, Tupac's final words were anything but peaceful. The officer who heard these words kept them to himself for years, only revealing what they were almost 20 years later. The officer explained that Tupac took a deep breath to get the words out, and he opened his eyes. According to the former sergeant from Las Vegas Police Department, his final words were, F you, only he said more than just a letter. A very Tupac way to go out of this world. The officer felt the need to withhold the information while an investigation was taking place. They didn't want the headlines to read final words F you, instead they wanted to make it known that the case was serious and that they were on top of it. Now in 2023, the case is reopened and there might be some closure, but that has yet to come. Speaking of which, number 9, who ended his life? If you're watching this entry, you are more than familiar with Tupac Shakur and how he met his end. Almost a week after being blasted by an unidentified assailant in his own SUV, he passed away on September 13th, 1996. He was only 25 at the time, and thanks to his very public feud with fellow artist Biggie Smalls, his passing led to years of rumors and speculation as to who really did the deed. 6 months following his passing, Biggie was caught slaying another person in a very eerily similar fashion. The evidence was pointing to the artist, and the only person who could truly point the finger was Shakur himself. However, a few days ago it was revealed that a man named Dwayne Davis was arrested on suspicion of slaying Tupac. The police suspected his involvement for years, but it wasn't until he started doing press that they had enough evidence to reopen the case. In 2009, he confessed to being in the area on camera, boasting about how close he was to the moment. In recent years, he's been painting a picture that he was front and center when things went down. While there has been no conviction just yet, the officers involved are confident that they have caught the man responsible for taking down a man considered to be one of the greatest of all time. Number 8, he wanted to act. While not known for his time on the silver screen, one of Tupac's main goals in life was to have his face on the cover of a movie poster. Well, that dream came true in 1992 thanks to the film Juice, a crime drama featuring several big-wig actors like Sam Jackson. The film was a critical darling with a little bit of everything for both fans of Tupac and fans of the crime thriller genre. In the few years before his passing, Tupac started a handful of other projects, movies like Poetic Justice, Above the Rim, and Gridlocked being the most lucrative. Despite his presence in the world of music, his public feuds and fallouts, he was able to get his face on a poster and people actually really liked it. Now, I'm not a big Tupac guy, in case that wasn't obvious, but it's cool that he got the chance to do his thing before someone decided that he shouldn't be around anymore, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it. Number 7, relationship to Jada Pinkett Smith. Decades after Tupac's passing, people still had questions about his relationship to Miss Pinkett Smith. Rumors had been circulating with some claiming that Jada may have had a hand in what happened. Well, while doing an interview on Sway Universe, she weighed in on her relationship with Tupac. Jada said that when she first met Tupac, she was a purveyor of narcotics, so to speak, continuing to explain that this was how they first bonded. She clarified that something really terrible made her leave the world behind, but she had already introduced Shakur to the scene. As she got out, he got deeper in. She claimed that they were close for many years, even claiming to have paid a bail of $100,000 after Tupac was held for possible mistreatment charges. Now, what makes their relationship more questionable is Will Smith expressing his jealousy towards the late musician. Will claimed that while things never got physical, their love for each other was legendary. The interview only made it seem like Jada had a ton of skeletons in her closet that were yet to be revealed, so we shall see how things go. Number 6, his last name means thankful. A fun fact about Tupac Shakur is the meaning of his last name. Tupac was born in Brooklyn, New York to members of the Black Panther Party. Now, if you don't know what that is, take a history class. His first name, Tupac, came from the 18th century Peruvian revolutionary Tupac Amaru II, whose name meant shining serpent. Amaru II led the largest rebellion in Spanish colonial history. Though the indigenous uprising was unsuccessful and he was executed as a consequence, the revolutionary became a mythical figure in Peruvian struggle for independence, as well as the inspiration for several Spanish-American causes and beyond. And Shakur is an Arabic word for thankful. So, shining and thankful were this man's first and last name. Legendary. Number 5, his love of Shakespeare. So when doing research for this video, I found a ton of fun facts about Tupac that have nothing to do with dark secrets or anything, so let's talk about some of those for a minute. For starters, Tupac was a massive fan of William Shakespeare. While he was attending the Baltimore School for the Arts, Tupac was a well-known thespian. According to Tupac himself, he just loved this guy, claiming that Shakespeare wrote some of the most raw stories of all time, and then saying that Romeo and Juliet was some hardcore stuff. Before his passing, passing, Tupac even claimed that Shakespeare was one of his main inspirations growing up. He attempted to create music that discussed the human condition, and he wanted to showcase what a man in his situation was capable of. As life went on, he poured his heart and soul into his lyrics, just like Willie Shakespeare. Number 4, he knew about the holograms in 1993. Oddly enough, holograms are becoming a real thing that is just kinda normal. I was at a festival over the summer and there were just logos floating in midair, spinning in 3D. It hurt my brain, but in a good way. However, back in 2012, a hologram was unique and new. In comes Snoop Dogg with special guest hologram Tupac. Snoop was headlining Coachella in 2012, where he sang a duet with the holographic Shakur live on stage, also joined by Dr. Dre. The lifelike hologram sparked some pretty mixed reactions, varying from, hey, that's pretty cool, to, like zoinks, it's a monster! A ton of people thought it was so real that surely Tupac was alive, and he offered himself up for a full body scan. However, one darker rumor that may never be proven is that Tupac knew about holograms existing in 1993. This is a popular conspiracy theory online, okay? It's not my personal opinion. I just thought it may be fun to chat about holograms possibly existing in the early 90s. According to a ton of online forums, not only is Tupac alive on an island somewhere, but he is also the keeper of government knowledge. Whether he knew back in the day or not is one thing, but the way his hologram moves makes the world think that he must have scanned his body before he passed, so that the digital copy of him would exist for all time. Number 3, Snoop Dogg. Tupac and Snoop Dogg had a very public feud when they first met, but they were eventually able to move past their differences, squash their beef, and Snoop Dogg has gone on record telling the world there is nothing but love between them. Their friendship may be discussed a lot, but we haven't covered it here on BTS before, so let's give it a little chat. Snoop was very close to Tupac before his passing, and in recent years, when asked about Shakur in interviews, Snoop gets a little bit emotional and gets deep into it. During one particular appearance on Logan Paul's podcast, Snoop told a story of visiting Tupac in the hospital in the final days before his passing. At the time, both of them were signed to the same record label and had recently collaborated together on 2 of America's Most Wanted. At the time Tupac was in hospital, they were not on the greatest of terms thanks to some personal drama, but that didn't stop Snoop from telling his buddy how much he loved him. Tupac was unconscious, so there was never a real sense of closure for Snoop, but he is very thankful to have had the time to speak to his buddy one last time. Number 2, his net worth. Tupac was a major player in the music industry, still considered to be one of the greatest of all time to this day. Despite passing away in 1996, his music was still being edited and released after his passing. Dozens of albums have been released over the years, but one thing that is still unconfirmed is just how much Tupac was actually worth before he passed away. A majority of his music was released following his passing, with only a handful being major hits while he was still alive. Unfortunately, he was taken out way before he was able to properly enjoy his success and his new bank account. Sure, you can Google Tupac net worth and it shows you a number, but the real number will always be unknown. Tupac's the only person who knows what money he had set aside, maybe hidden in a drawer or in a mattress, and he's the only one who knows what his most prized possession really was. So far as we know, he had a good chunk when he passed, but for all we know, that amount could be immeasurable. And at number 1, the truth. If you made it this far into the list, I just want to say thank you for sticking around. I really hope you've learned a little something along the way. Not much to learn in this video, but still, good job getting here. Taking the top spot on this list is, of course, the truth, because despite the police opening an investigation and having a suspect in custody, the only person who could give a detailed walkthrough of the night that Tupac was taken out is Tupac. Only he can describe the person who took him down, the exact scenarios that may have led to the drive-by, and so much more. We may never know the truth, but maybe that's a good thing.
In at number 10, Landon Clifford. 19-year-old YouTube star Landon Clifford was well known for starring on the popular YouTube show called Cam and Fam. Initially, his death was announced after he was said to have been in a coma for 6 days following a brain injury. However, following his unfortunate passing, his wife made a video that told the full story. According to her, Landon had developed an addiction to his prescription medications for ADHD and antidepressants. The combination of these 2 drugs gave him these extreme highs and lows with his mood. Her recounting of the events that led to her finding her own husband hanging in the garage is absolutely heartbreaking to hear. She was hesitant at first to release all the details on his passing because she was just so processing the information as well. Landon is another reason why talking about mental health can be so important at this time. Landon will be remembered as being the best dad and husband that he could be, and even in his passing he had set up for his organs to be donated to people who are in desperate need all over the country. In number 9, Johan. Kim Jong-kwon, known as Johan in the Korean pop group TST, passed away at the age of 28 with no cause of death being noted in the announcement. Johan debuted in 2015 as a member of the boy band called Nam, but after the band broke up, he joined the TST group for their 4th album in January called Countdown. The TST fans are also referred to as Hannes, and their mourning for the star could be found all over social media. I truly believe K-pop fans are one of the most dedicated fan bases out there. One even tweeted about the purchasing of a star in his name. The user tweeted, "I bought and named a star after our precious Johan. I made sure to find a big bright star that's especially visible in Seoul in June. Not that it can't be seen any other time of the year, I wanted to make sure it was visible in June." His music label also shared a message from his family meant for the fans and what they can do to respect their wishes. The label posted a portion of the family statement and said, "The late Johan's family is currently in deep mourning. The family has pleaded that media articles about Johan's passing, such as those making speculations about the cause of his death, be refrained out of respect." In number 8, Nicole Thea. These are all going to be pretty heartbreaking, but with YouTuber Nicole Thea, it hits on a whole different level. The London-based social media star was pregnant when she passed on July 11th, thus taking her unborn child at 8 months with her. She had just posted a photo showing off her baby bump with the caption, "Can't wait to meet you, little man, soon to be 3 of us." Charles Murray told the press that Nicole had said that she was struggling to breathe and having pains in her chest. Although the autopsy has still not been confirmed, Nicole's uncle says that the family believes that she passed away due to a massive heart attack, and she was only 24 years old at the time. In number 7, Justin Earl. 38-year-old Justin Earl was the son of country rock star Steve Earle and was an accomplished musician in his own right. The notice of his passing was posted to his official Facebook page, which said, "It is with tremendous sadness that we inform you of the passing of our son, husband, father, and friend Justin. So many of you have relied on his music and lyrics over the years, and we hope that his music will continue to guide you on your journeys. You will be dearly missed, Justin." According to his Wikipedia page, Justin had also struggled with drugs since the age of 12 and had gone to rehabilitation clinics 9 times, followed by periods of sobriety. The cause of his death was not immediately announced, but the Nashville police said that they were investigating the death as a possible drug overdose. Justin first rose to fame in 2007 with the EP called Yuma, and he won the Emerging Act of the Year at the 2009 Americana Honors and Awards and Song of the Year in 2011 for his song titled Harlem River Blues. In at number 6, Chi Chi DeVayne. Xavier Michael Davenport was better known as the stage name of Chi Chi DeVayne and was an American drag queen and reality TV personality on RuPaul's Drag Race. Xavier appeared on the 8th season of the show as well as the 3rd season of the All-Star Series. Davenport had been diagnosed with scleroderma in 2018 and 2 years later would pass after a bout with pneumonia related to kidney failure. Xavier's family made a public statement as well and said, "It is with tremendous sorrow that my family and I announce the passing of my beloved son, Xavier Michael Davenport, the world-renowned Chi Chi DeVayne. Out of respect for the immediate family, please await additional information and directives regarding the final arrangements, memorials, and the method to remit condolences and expressions of kindness." His final words to his family and fans: "Never give up." In addition to this, the official RuPaul's Drag Race tweeted out saying, "That smile shines so bright, we'll always cherish her joyous energy, love you so much, Chi Chi." In at number 5, Jack Sherman. Jack Sherman was a legendary guitarist who played on the Red Hot Chili Peppers' debut album and traveled with the band for their first tour in 1984. Jack even co-composed material on that album as well as several other songs on the follow-up record. After their original guitarist and founding member Hillel Slovak wanted to come back, Sherman was booted from the band. Even though he greatly contributed to that first album, when the rest of the band was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2012, he was not. Sherman blamed the members for this, saying that it ignored the work that he had put in under arduous conditions. When Jack's passing was announced, the official Red Hot Chili Peppers posted this message to their fans: "We of the RHCP family would like to wish Jack Sherman smooth sailing into the worlds beyond, for he has passed. Jack played on our debut album as well as our first tour of the USA. He was a unique dude and we thank him for all good times, bad and in between. Peace on the Boogie platform." Jack passed away from natural causes at the age of 64 at his home in Savannah, Georgia. In at number 4, Clifford Robinson. Cliff Robinson played 18 seasons with the NBA and was selected in the second round of the 1989 NBA draft. He played his first 8 seasons of his career with the Portland Trail Blazers, followed up by some stints with the Phoenix Suns, Detroit Pistons, Golden State Warriors, and New Jersey Nets. At 6'10", he was the tallest player to make more than 1,000 3-pointers until he was surpassed by Dirk Nowitzki. In 2017, Robinson suffered from a stroke that paralyzed the left side of his body, but he would soon recover much of his arm and leg movement. Since then, he had been residing in the West Hills area of Portland, Oregon, and in March of 2019, he underwent surgery for cancer treatment and wood passive lymphoma on August 29, 2020 at the age of 53. While with the NBA, Robinson was a big advocate of cannabis and the legalization of it in Oregon and Connecticut. He actually said that the use of cannabis helped him get through his entire career with the NBA. He also said that he would use cannabis to help relieve pain and anxiety and to avoid the undesirable side effects caused by his pharmaceutical drugs. In number 3, John Thompson. John Robert Thompson Jr. was the first African American head coach to win a major collegiate championship when he led the Hoyas to an NCAA Division I national championship over the Houston Cougars in 1984. As a result, John was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame and the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame as well. After he retired from coaching, John went on to become a radio and TV sports commentator. Before he was ever a coach though, Thompson was selected in the third round of the 1964 NBA draft by the Celtics. He would play 2 seasons with the Boston Celtics and end up winning the NBA championship in both seasons. Thompson was also the assistant coach for the gold medal winning team in the 1976 Summer Olympics, and he coached the last collegiate US team at the 1988 Summer Olympics. Big John's family made a statement for the public and said, "For us, his greatest legacy remains as a father, grandfather, uncle, and friend. More than a coach, he was our foundation. More than a legend, he was the voice in our ear every day. We will miss him, but are grounded in the assurance that we carry his faith and determination in us. We will cherish forever his strength, courage, wisdom, and boldness, as well as his unfailing love." John passed on August 31st, 2020 at the age of 78. In at number 2, Joe Ruby. Joseph Clemens Ruby was an American animator, television editor, writer, and producer. He was also the founding member of the TV animation production company called Ruby Spears Productions. That team was responsible for co-creating the animated series Scooby-Doo. Joe studied art and began his career in animation at Walt Disney for the in-betweening department. His grandson Benjamin Ruby said that Joe never stopped writing and creating even as he aged, with the Warner Bros. Animation president saying that Ruby's legacy will be that he made Saturday morning special for so many children, including himself. And me too. Scooby-Doo has been a beloved companion on screens for more than 50 years, leaving an enduring legacy that has inspired and entertained people for generations. On August 26, 2020, Joe Ruby passed from natural causes at his home in Westlake Village, California at the age of 87. Last but certainly not least, on our number 1 spot, Chadwick Boseman. I'm still even trying to process the loss of Chadwick Boseman. When I first read that initial report, I just couldn't believe that it was real, and I'm sure many of you felt the same thing. The final tweet from the late actor has so far become the most liked tweet ever. In the tweet, the statement reads, "It is with immeasurable grief that we confirm the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016 and battled with it these last 4 years as it progressed to stage 4. A true fighter, Chadwick persevered through it all and brought you many of the films you have come to love so much. From Marshall to Defy Bloods, August Wilson's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and several more, all were filmed during and between countless surgeries and chemotherapy." The family went on to say that it was the honor of his career to bring King T'Challa to life in Black Panther, and that he passed in his home with his wife and family by his side. Chadwick should be upheld as a real-life superhero though as well. Cancer was draining his life away from him, but he kept on pushing, he kept working, and he never once complained about his situation.
Coming in at number 10 today, we have the secret grandchild. On Sunday at Lisa Marie's funeral service, Riley Keough's husband, Ben Smith Peterson, would reveal that the couple had welcomed a secret child last year. The stuntman announced the news while he was reading a letter on behalf of his wife at the memorial service. In the letter, Ben would say, "I hope I can love my daughter the way you love me, the way you love my brothers and my sisters. Thank you for giving me strength, my heart, my empathy, my courage, my sense of humor, my manners, my temper, my wildness, and my tendency. I'm the product of your heart, my sisters are the product of your heart, my brother is the product of your heart." Since the memorial service, a representative has confirmed the birth of Riley and Ben's daughter, and the couple's daughter is the first grandchild of Lisa Marie and the first great-grandchild of Elvis and Priscilla. While everyone was shocked to learn that the Presley family kept a child a secret, Riley's tribute to her mother would bring the whole room to tears as they remembered Lisa for her strength and love. Number 9, we have the childhood message. Before Elvis Presley passed away, in an interview, the king would describe with glee how much of a terror Lisa Marie was. But what many didn't know is that she left behind a hidden graffiti message in a secret drawer. During a live virtual tour with Graceland archivist Angie Marchese, she would point out a secret drawer that was located in the corridor next to the kitchen on the way into the jungle room from the front door. In fact, it's right where fans walk during the regular in-person tour of Graceland. During the interview, Angie would open the drawer, and when it was open, you could see written inside was Lisa Marie's graffiti, which read, "Lisa's home, Graceland," with a smiley face. Also inside the drawer was a 1993 phone book, which seems quite random, but Elvis historian revealed it was owned by the King's Aunt Delta May, who lived at Graceland until that very year. Interestingly, all kinds of items remained in the drawers at Graceland, just as they were left behind by those who were living in the mansion. For example, the plates and glasses are still kept in the kitchen cupboards, and is the china in the drawers in the dining room. Additionally, in a drawer in the music room, quite randomly features a samurai sword that was gifted to Elvis by a Japanese officer. Lisa Marie very much saw Graceland as her family home, and the china she used was kept in the drawers in her Aunt Delta Delta's bedroom, which is connected to the kitchen, and it isn't on the tour. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? So don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming number 8, we have her connection with John Travolta. John Travolta and Lisa Marie Presley had known each other for decades, but before Travolta and Presley were friends, Lisa Marie was nothing more than a fan of the rising celebrity. After the passing of Lisa's father Elvis, Priscilla was looking to bring some joy into her daughter's life and used her Hollywood connections to arrange a meeting between the two. However, before rumors started to begin that Travolta and Presley dated, when the two met, Presley was only 11 and Travolta was in his mid-20s. However, there was an apparent connection between Priscilla and Travolta, and it is said their connection apparently led to 3 to 4 secret dates that didn't go any further. However, it was during this time Travolta would speak to Priscilla about the Church of Scientology, as he has been a member since 1975, and extended an invitation to Priscilla to come and see what it was all about. Apparently, Priscilla found it to be very welcoming, and she joined in 1977, and as a result, Lisa Marie had no choice but to join the institution as well. Lisa Marie would then be placed into obedience therapy as a young child, as she was in a bad mental condition after she lost her father, and in her weak moment of great loss, John persuaded her to come in. Number 7, trauma. Before Lisa Marie passed away, she revealed that her last memory of discovering Elvis after he had passed away in the bathroom of his famous Memphis home on August 16th, 1977. Lisa would confess that she didn't like to talk about it. In her confession, she would say it was 4 a.m. I was supposed to be asleep, but actually he found me. Lisa Marie was in her room with her mother Priscilla when Elvis arrived with them a couple minutes later and kissed her goodnight. This would be the last time she would see her father alive. Later, when she went to see her father, she would be attended by her friend Ginger, and discovering her father had passed away, Lisa Marie would be terrified and she ran to the phone to call Elvis's ex-girlfriend, Linda Thompson, who was not at Graceland at the time. Lisa Marie would be left feeling traumatized, as she was her daddy's princess and she truly was loved by him. That was a huge trauma for her. Lisa empathetically acted out as a child, and then she would begin to take substances so she could forget the agony of losing her father. Number 6, overwhelming Priscilla. After Lisa Marie started to act out to numb the pain of losing her father, she began to overwhelm her mother Priscilla in the process. Priscilla would get exasperated with her because she was a rebellious kid, and Priscilla knew that she was not a kid who believed in rules and boundaries. Lisa Marie is said to have been a free spirit, as she would do what she wanted whenever she wanted, and this drove Priscilla nuts because she didn't want to see what happened to Elvis happen to her daughter. Priscilla felt like she was locked in a game of Mortal Kombat with her daughter, and the relationship was actually really hostile for the longest time. The two were just not aligned at all. There was no harmony. Their relationship of welfare was described as living in a war zone that would lead to Lisa Marie to do substances to get away from her misery, as she was feeling deep inside her. That's why it's being said that Priscilla is actually taking her daughter's passing really hard, as she still wasn't able to fully repair her relationship with her daughter before she passed away. Number 5, power imbalance. Seems like Lisa Marie and her mother Priscilla Presley could never see eye to eye because there was too much of a power imbalance when it came to the two. It said that Priscilla had all the power. She was the mom after all, and Lisa Marie couldn't run away after her father's passing, as she was only 9 years old. So the only way she felt like she could stand her ground was to fight back, be rude and disrespectful to her mother. Lisa Marie felt like this was her only option to feel happiness, was to be combative. And the more Lisa Marie started to act out and misbehave, the more and more her mother got worried. Eventually, by the age of 13 years old, Lisa would start experimenting with substances, and the more Lisa started to fight back so she could be released by her mother's control, the more Priscilla would try her own methods of control. Eventually, Priscilla would have no other choice but to join the Church of Scientology, and she would kick Lisa Marie out and force her to attend courses that Lisa Marie did not want to attend. Number 4, obedience therapy. Lisa was only 11 years old when her mother Priscilla joined a cult-like religion which is known as Scientology. During her childhood years, she would be dropped off alone at the Scientology Center for hours of obedience therapy and purification rundowns. This would reportedly consist of hot sauna sessions sessions, exercise, and taking vitamins. Lisa Marie had no choice but to attend the sessions, and it seemed anytime she would act up, she would be dropped off. The instructions from Priscilla to the church were to handle her and do whatever they wanted so her daughter would get back into line. Lisa had no choice, and she was forced into conversion therapy and obedience therapy sessions, as the church saw these as courses that were fit to her needs. This is something that should never be forced onto an 11-year-old, and yet Lisa Marie was forced to believe that something was wrong with her and she had to attend these courses. Number 3. Michael Lockwood. While Lisa Marie Presley was embroiled into a ferocious custody battle with her ex-husband, she would accuse him of having hundreds of illegal images of younger people on his computer. While many have stated that Lisa Marie falsely accused him of this crime, it really makes you wonder if these crimes were never true, then why would she divorce her ex-husband, and why would the police always stay quiet about the issue, as they never confirmed if he was guilty or not guilty? It just all seems a little fishy. In the court filing at the time of her divorce, Lisa Marie Presley would never detail exactly what she found at the time, but she would say she was very shocked, horrified, and it made her sick to her stomach. However, in the papers it would also be said that the Beverly Hills Police Department found 80 of Lockwood's devices during a raid on her home, and she added that the cops still had them and that they'd never been fully analyzed, and that she had no idea what else would be on those devices, but she was scared that there was more worse images and evidence on those unanalyzed devices. Number 2. 4 divorces. Sometimes it's hard to find love, and it's clear that Lisa Marie struggled with her whole life to truly find the one. In 2016, when news broke that Lisa Marie was ending her union with Michael Lockwood, unfortunately this would be her 4th failed marriage. In 2007, Lisa Marie would explain her marital woes to Marie Claire when she said her first union with Danny Keough failed because she was really young and Danny had resented her because of who she was. She would then add that her marriage became a power struggle because it was hard for a man to be with a woman who is stronger and wealthy, and that's why she ditched Danny for Michael Jackson. However, she would then recall this being the biggest mistake of her life. As her rocky marriage to Nicolas Cage, she would state that marrying him was a wild flurry and a crazy idea that came with being young. As complicated as it all sounds, Presley eventually disunion from Michael Lockwood was arguably the toughest following their 10 years together. The exes were locked in horns and one of the most bitter custody and spousal support fights Hollywood has ever seen. And coming in number 1 today, we have Cruel to Nannies. Shortly after Lisa Marie gave birth to her beautiful twin girls, she acquired the help of nanny Christine White. According to TMZ, they would detail that Christine sued Lisa Marie because she felt like she was being overworked without proper compensation. The suit claimed that Christine was tasked with caring for the babies around the clock, and she even worked 7 days a week and was not granted breaks. By the following year, Christine would drop her case against Lisa Marie, but not before Presley countersued. In the lawsuit, Presley claimed that White was fired after breaking her contract, and that she allegedly took over 165 unauthorized photos and videos of her children, which broke her confidentiality agreement. The case was ultimately dismissed, and although it's unclear if it was ever settled, Presley seemed to have the last word on the matter, as she claimed Christine's original lawsuit was born out of utter greed and revenge because Lisa Marie fired her. Starting off our list today in the number 10 spot, we have cancer. After Jerry Springer's family shared that the daytime host passed away earlier Thursday morning following a brief illness, People magazine would then publish a report, and in it they would say Springer's passing came from the result of battling cancer, with a family spokesperson and longtime friend Jean Galvin also telling NBC News that Jerry passed away from pancreatic cancer. Jerry's longtime friend and religious leader, Rabbi Sandrod Kobnick of the Valley and Temple in Cincinnati, also told People magazine that Jerry's illness was sudden, when he said he hasn't been sick for a long time, he passed away from cancer, and he didn't have cancer for very long. After describing the former Cincinnati mayor's nature, Kopnick also went on to note that Jerry had a kind and generous personality, and he wasn't really best pictured in his show when he said there was so much more to him than the Jerry Springer show. He was very, very smart. He was a remarkable family man, and he was somebody who understood what it means to pay it forward. With Springer being known for hosting 27 seasons of his talk show, he also headlined the reality series Judge Jerry for 3 seasons and even briefly served as a judge on America's Got Talent. He also was the 56th mayor of Cincinnati in the 1970s, before pursuing a career in media. Being a man who never really lost sight of his roots, he understood the great fortune that his family had escaping Germany, and he will be deeply missed by millions of people all over the world. Number 9. Love for hateful groups. It seems like the only people who get more airtime on the Springer show than jilted lovers seem to be the members of certain Malaysia groups. And none of us could really understand why. Maybe it's because Jerry wanted to use his platform to help the members of these so-called audiences feel better about themselves. Or maybe he just had a deep love and understanding for the people he brought on the show. But after the second instance of the show giving the people the attention they were so clearly craving, everyone involved in the incident really should have found themselves giving the boot from the show. These episodes would cause so much drama that an altercation in one episode even broke out after the group members walked on to the stage. It should have been enough for the show's creators to realize that these conversations just weren't okay and they needed to cancel the show. Hateful groups like this don't just appear on talk shows, so the fact that Jerry had extended his privilege to bring them on the show and make them feel welcome really made a lot of people question what his real motives were and why he was so obsessed with interviewing people from Malaysia groups. Hey BTS fans, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss out on what I might just cover next. And seriously, let me tell you, the next videos have some major tea, so you definitely don't want to miss out on them. Number 8. Scandalous life. Back in 1982, Jerry Springer decided to try to take his political career to the next level by running for governor of Ohio. Unfortunately for the star, his campaign was plagued by a major scandal in which he was accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a woman on the streets during his younger years. To his credit, Jerry did own up to the accusations and apologized for the mistake, and he then went on to argue that acknowledging the truth and embracing the matter was a sign of his honesty and maturity, demonstrating that he was still fit to run for office, as this didn't reflect on the leader he could be. As bold as his attempt was at altering the message on this matter, it still wasn't enough to sway the voters of Ohio, and he ultimately lost the race and never made an attempt to run again. Number 7. The game plan. Have you ever wondered why Jerry Springer's guests on his show always manage to get in such dramatic altercations? Well, if so, then you may or may not be surprised to learn that it's more than just a mere coincidence. It seems like right from the show's inception, Springer made a conscious decision to ensure that there was always going to be some kind of explosive battle in every episode to avoid the show becoming just like another talk show. Even if you thought the show's unique platform for crazy spectacles might just be viewed by some as an opportunity to lie for the sake of getting attention, you would be right. Well, at least you would be in one case, when 3 individuals who appeared on the show admitted they have completely fabricated their stories about a continuous love triangle just to get on TV. I guess it's true when they say in Hollywood you really do have to fake it till you make it. Number 6. Banned in the UK. Being a celebrity can come with a heavy price, especially when your show has been known to cross some boundaries. Every year a handful of celebrities will either find themselves being banned from going to certain countries, or they will have their shows making a ban list, which many celebrities just honestly look away and carry on with their days. But this move can really affect your career, especially when angry parents find out that their kids are watching your show. So in the early 2000s, the United Kingdom made the decision to ban the Jerry Springer show from being shown during the daytime on any school holiday. The ban would come after an excessive number of parents complained that they did not want their children exposed to the show's subject matter, which is honestly a fair statement. I don't know if you did this or not, but I used to skip school and pretended I was sick just so I could watch Jerry say "You are not the father" and watch an epic altercation occur on the stage. And if my parents knew that I was doing that, they probably wouldn't be so happy. But honestly, the show was wild, but maybe that's why we laughed so hard when it came to it. Number 5. End of the line. To this day, many people have never noticed that the production of the Jerry Springer show was actually quietly cancelled in 2018. And if you did notice, then you know no one really said anything to why the show was being cancelled. Now I can only imagine that the show's controversial segments were finally met with cancel culture, as a show like Jerry's could never really enter into the television world today because, let's face it, the American Pie days are now over. It also could be because this is when he was diagnosed with cancer and decided he would be leaving the show behind to spend the last moments with his family. Although everyone involved with the show chose not to publicly announce the development or make a big issue out of it in the media, the show would eventually confirm that there would be no new episodes going forward and that they would just be playing reruns and previously the unaired stories going forward. And now when we see his show pop up in air, we're really going to remember all the things he brought to American television. And seriously, we're really going to miss Jerry as we already miss him already. Number 4. Daughter. Although Jerry Springer's on-screen life consisted mostly of being entertained by the shenanigans of others, his off-screen life isn't all fun and games. One of the biggest struggles in the host's personal life is that he had found it hard to take care of his daughter Katie, as she has some severe physical disabilities. As for Katie's entire life, she has been both deaf and blind. Despite having a difficult challenge ahead of him, Jerry and his wife have always devoted themselves in every possible way to taking care of their daughter, by allowing her to live her life the fullest. And they never were the ones to allow anything to affect this or allow their daughter's disabilities to hold her back from achieving anything she wanted to achieve. With Katie being Jerry's inspiration, she even once convinced her father to compete on Dancing with the Stars, where he placed 5th, and the two had such a close bond, to the point Jerry kept Katie's disability a secret from the world most of the time because he didn't want people to treat her any differently. She even made Jerry a loving grandfather after she got married and had a child. Number 3. Film industry. Jerry has many careers in his life, from being a mayor to a talk show host, but did you know he even ventured into the film industry at one point in his career? And the colossal flop Ringmaster was not Jerry's only foot into the film industry, as in 1999 Jerry even got the chance to play a fictionalized version of himself in a fictionalized version of his show in the classic comedy film Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me. Naturally, the fictionalized version of The Springer Show was actually pretty close to the real thing, with the movie showing 2 characters getting into one giant altercation on the not Springer Show. It totally ended up being The Springer Show, but I mean, how could you not make a fake Jerry Springer show and not have it resemble the real thing? Because if you didn't, it would probably confuse a lot of people. But at the same time, this is when we realized that if a movie was able to convince us that we were actually watching the Jerry Springer Show, then maybe, just maybe, the show was all staged. But I'm gonna let you decide that and let me know in the comments below. Number 2. Burden. With Jerry Springer and his family choosing to keep the star's battle with cancer hidden from the public so his health struggles wouldn't become a burden to many of those who cared so deeply about him, TMZ would soon publish an article where they would claim that Gene Galvin, a rep for the Springer family, told them that Jerry was sick for months and that he was running through a series of tests but only recently found out how serious his pancreatic cancer diagnosis actually was. Galvin also told the media outlet that Jerry has always been fairly a private person, so he and his family thought it was especially important to keep his cancer private as they didn't want people to worry about him or his family. So Jerry and his family instead shifted their entire focus on aiding with his care, which became extremely time consuming, and Jerry knew that his time was limited, and given the severity of his cancer, he made a point to spend as much time as he could with his loved ones as possible. And during this time he found things really depressing because he didn't want to be a burden to his friends and family, with some friends having no idea that Jerry was sick, and then he went on to do small little things and his friends say that this is how he was giving them one final goodbye. Coming in number 1 today, we have the show. Despite how drama filled the show was, it definitely wasn't everyone's favorite cup of tea, and out of everyone in the world you would never probably expect that Jerry Springer was actually one of those people. I know, it's a surprise because he always looked like he was so into everything happening during the filming process that he would be watching certain moments back to back, but I guess that just wasn't the case. Believe it or not, Jerry Springer one time actually even confessed that he never even watches the show himself. While the confession isn't really known by many, he once really did come out to say he's fully aware of how silly and ridiculous his show's subject matter was, and at the end of the day, he only considers his job to be nothing more than a job. But hey, he made a pretty big paycheck doing so can we really blame him for wanting to do ridiculous things to bring in more views? With Jerry leaving the world so unexpectedly, many viewers, fans, family, and friends have flooded to different social media outlets to share their favorite stories to Jerry and how he helped them get through some rough times in their lives. With Jerry filling our hearts with so much love and laughter for decades, it's really sad to hear that he's gone, and I seriously don't want to live in a world without him. Our thoughts and prayers are definitely with Jerry's family and friends, and we're all here for you if you need anything.
Starting off our list number 10 is Heath Ledger. In 2008, the world suddenly had to mourn the loss of the talented young actor who passed away tragically at the age of 28. News articles broke saying that he was found by his masseuse and housekeeper on the floor of his rented apartment in Soho, New York. It was said that emergency crews arrived not long after his body was first found, and they tried to revive him but were unsuccessful. The media started speculating on the cause of his passing, with claims that it may have been an overdose. It wasn't until 2 weeks later that the New York City Medical Examiner's Office released the results of toxicology tests that were performed on his body. The report stated that he passed of an accidental abuse of prescription medications. His family ended up taking his body back to their native Australia, and he was buried next to his grandparents in his hometown, Perth. Taking over the number 9 spot is Mac Miller. It was back in 2018 when the world first heard the horrible news that the rapper had passed away at 26 years old. His passing was ruled as an accidental substance overdose, but there was still a lot of speculation surrounding the situation. A toxicology report released a statement that said he passed due to an accidental overdose of 2 different substances and alcohol. In 2019, 3 men were charged in connection to his passing. One man for allegedly selling counterfeit OxyContin pills that were laced with a stronger substance. Another man for allegedly sourcing the pills that were sold to him, and the details of the third man's relation to the case has not been revealed. It wasn't until later this year that a trial date was officially set for November 16, 2021. The defendants are fighting that they allegedly continued to sell the narcotics after his passing with full knowledge of the risk of their products. Coming into number 8 is Brittany Murphy. She had a huge breakthrough in her career with her role in Clueless, and then continued to win over the hearts in other movies like Uptown Girls, 8 Mile, and Girl Interrupted. Fans were both shocked and saddened to hear the news back in 2009 that the bubbly actress was found deceased in her Los Angeles home. It was at 8 a.m. on December 20th, 2009 that the LA Fire Department responded to a medical request after it was reported that she apparently collapsed in her bathroom. Reports say that firefighters tried to resuscitate her on the scene and that she had to be transported to the hospital when they were unable to do so. Once she was at the hospital, she officially passed away at 10:04 a.m. after going into cardiac arrest at just 32 years old. A few months later, rumors began to spread saying that she had overdosed after the coroner released a report saying that she had been taking a variety of over-the-counter and prescription medications. However, all the substances were legal and her passing was ruled to be an accident. Sliding into number 7 is Cameron Boyce. He first became a child star when playing Luke Ross on the Disney Channel TV series Jessie. From there, he went on to star in movies like Grown Ups and Descendants. Fans were devastated back in 2019 when his family released a statement online saying that the 20-year-old had passed away in his home in Los Angeles due to a seizure, which was the result of an ongoing medical condition. They revealed he had recently been diagnosed with epilepsy and said that he was being treated for it. The tragic news came on July 19th, and his Descendants movie was set to premiere on July 22nd. Disney decided to cancel the red carpet premiere event and honor him in a different way. With permission from his family, Disney Channel announced that they will dedicate the telecast of Descendants 3 in his memory. They also made a donation in his name to the Thirst Project, which is a non-profit that Cameron was heavily involved in that provides communities with safe drinking water. Up next, number 6, we have Selena. Just a few months ago, Netflix released the second part of the biographical series explaining her life and her tragic passing. The series is called Selena: The Series and focuses on her legacy, music, and controversy surrounding her life being taken. She was just 23 years old when it was revealed that she had been fatally struck by a bullet in a motel room in Texas back in 1995. There was a big scandal at the time, which led to a woman named Yolanda Saldivar pulling the trigger on Selena. Yolanda was the president of Selena's fan club and manager of her Selena's Inc. boutiques in Texas, and was caught embezzling money from Selena's empire. Reports say Yolanda lured Selena to the motel by promising to finally turn over relevant financial documents. But things got heated and an argument broke out, and when Selena saw that she had a weapon in her purse, she tried to flee from the room. It was then that Yolanda pulled the trigger and struck her in the back. The Netflix series apparently reveals footage from this night. Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Corey Monteith. The young actor was at the height of his career, taking on the lead role in the successful TV series Glee. He was also known for being Lea Michele's boyfriend, who met each other on on the set of Glee in 2008 and became love interests on the show and in real life. They were actually together when he sadly passed away on July 13th, 2013 at just 31 years old. Reports released details saying he was found in his room at the Fairmont Hotel in Vancouver. He was scheduled to check out that day, but when he didn't, hotel staff entered his room and discovered his body. His autopsy was later released and it stated that he passed away from a mix of illegal substances and alcohol, but that it appeared to be accidental. After his passing, the production team postponed Glee's 5th season and continued it just months later. On October 10th, 2013, the show aired an episode as a tribute to Cory, which focused on the passing of his character in the show. That way they could continue to talk about his memory in future episodes and seasons. At number 4, we have River Phoenix, the older brother of the successful actor Joaquin Phoenix. River's acting career started when he was just 10 years old when he began working in television commercials. His acting career included 24 films and television appearances, which led to the teen idol status, and he rose to fame. He wasn't just into acting though, he was also known for his singing and guitar skills. In 1988, he got nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor in Supporting Role for his role in Running on Empty. The following year, he got a role as young Indiana Jones in Steven Spielberg's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. His career was at its peak as he continued to book one role after another. Unfortunately, in October 1993, River collapsed outside of an LA nightclub in front of his brothers, Rain and Joaquin. They rushed him to the hospital where doctors announced that he'd officially passed away at just 23 years old. The New York Times shared the report that the coroner found a fatal amount of illegal substances in his system. In the 3rd spot is Aaliyah. She was known for being a triple threat, being successful at singing, acting, and modeling. People were shocked to hear the news that she had passed away in a tragic airplane accident on August 25th, 2001. She was just 22 years old at the time and had been in the Bahamas filming a music video for the single Rock the Boat. She was on the plane with 7 other passengers and the pilot, all of whom passed away in this accident. They all boarded a small plane that was set to return back to Florida, but the aircraft was said to be smaller than the original aircraft that was meant to fly them. Reports say one pilot was warning them there was too much weight for a safe flight since they brought a bunch of filming equipment with them as well. It was later revealed it was actually 700 pounds overweight and the pilot was actually not qualified to fly that aircraft. The aircraft took off and only 200 meters away from the runway. After just a few seconds, it crashed. Her autopsy later revealed that she passed away from severe burns and a fatal blow to the head. Next up at number 2 is Avicii. The DJ was an award-winning musician at the height of his career when he passed away at the age of 28 years old. The horrific news was announced on April 20th, 2018 and revealed that he had taken his own life. The official cause was reported to be blood loss from self-inflicted wounds. Although he had reached insane amounts of fame, success, and wealth, behind the scenes he was struggling with anxiety, depression, and an alcohol addiction. After the news broke, his family confirmed the news that he had in fact taken his own life and shared that he was battling his addiction for years, which is why he quit touring in 2016. In the documentary Avicii: True Stories, it showed that his addiction had put him in the hospital while he was in Australia on tour. In the documentary, Avicii spoke about it and said he was given medication for pancreatitis and started taking 20 pills a day and got addicted to them. Reports say that he was actually working on new music at the time of his passing. Last but not least, at number 1, we have Amy Winehouse. It was in July of 2011 that the news broke that the singer had passed away at 27 years old. She was known for her unique voice and the soul and jazz in her music, which stood out against the usual pop music that we hear all the time. She had been very candid about her struggle with substance abuse and alcohol addiction, releasing the hit song Rehab in 2006, which has lived on as one of the most iconic songs to this day. But her addiction is what eventually led to her passing. It was said that at the time she was sober from substances, but that she turned to alcohol more instead because of it. Her body was found in the afternoon that day in her London home. Reports say that she was found by paramedics fully clothed with a laptop on her bed and empty bottles of vodka on the floor. The coroner revealed that she had a fatal amount of alcohol in her blood, that it shut down her respiratory system, and her passing was deemed to be alcohol poisoning. Dr. Shirley Radcliffe said that she voluntarily consumed the alcohol, which was a deliberate act that just took an unexpected turn.
At number 10, Jay Pickett. Soap opera actor Jay Pickett, known for his time on General Hospital, passed away on July 30th of this year at the age of 60. Jay was a soap opera legend, having been part of the cast of a number of shows like Days of Our Lives, where he played Dr. Chip Latkin, Port Charles, and obviously General Hospital, where he portrayed the character Detective David Harper. The most recent project Jay was working on was a film called Treasure Valley, but but sadly, the actor passed away during the project's filming. Jay's passing came suddenly and tragically as the producer for Jay's upcoming film released a statement following the actor's death that said, quote, "Many of you already heard about the tragedy that happened 2 days ago. Jay Pickett, our leading man, writer, producer, and creator of this movie, passed away suddenly while we were on location preparing to film a scene," end quote. There was no official cause of death released at the time, but it is believed that the actor passed away due to a sudden heart attack. In the producer's statement, they elaborated on how hard they tried to keep Jay with us, saying, quote, "Everyone present tried as hard as they could to keep him alive. Our hearts are broken and we grieve for his family who are so devastated by this shocking tragedy. Jay's passing has been felt heavily by fans of his work, so he surely will not be forgotten." At number 9, Robert Downey Sr. Robert Downey Sr., father of Marvel actor Robert Downey Jr., passed away peacefully in his sleep on July 7, 2021 after a long battle with Parkinson's disease. Robert Downey Sr. was known as a pioneer of the underground film scene in New York City in the 1960s. He got his first big break with the film Putney Swope, and this put him on the map, set him up for success, and from then on he became a legend in the film industry both as an actor and director. His success later continued into the 70s and 80s as he worked on projects like The Twilight Zone, Matlock, To Live and Die in LA, Boogie Nights, and Magnolia. But other than growing his own success, he also aided in the growth and success of others, most notably his son, who began acting alongside him in the early days of his own career. Robert Downey Jr. released a statement following his father's passing, informing the world of the tragedy the Downey family was facing on his Instagram, where he said, quote, "Last night Dad passed away peacefully in his sleep after years of enduring the ravages of Parkinson's. He was a true maverick, filmmaker, and remained remarkably optimistic throughout. According to my stepmom's calculations, they were happily married for just over 2,000 years. Rosemary Rogers Downey, you are a saint and our thoughts and prayers are with you," end quote. Now before I carry on with the list, I would like to ask you guys to leave a comment down below sending a positive message for the families on this list. Losing a loved one is never easy, so let's send them some positive energy their way. At number 8, Sonny Chiba. Actor and martial artist Sonny Chiba recently passed away on August 19th of this year at the age of 82. Sonny was known as one of the first Japanese actors to gain international notoriety for his martial arts skills. Before he became famous in American cinema, Sonny first got his big break in Japan in the 1960s, portraying samurai, police detectives, and quote, anti-heroes trying to survive in a violent world, all while doing his own stunts. It wasn't until the film Street Fighter hit American cinemas that Sonny's career in the US started to take off. He attracted the attention of director Quentin Tarantino, and the actor was later cast in the film Kill Bill. From then, Sonny went on to star in films like Aces and even made an appearance in the film Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Sonny brought popularity to martial arts style films, and he will certainly be remembered for that, along with all of his talent and skill. At number 7, Kevin Clark. If you are a fan of the 2003 movie School of Rock, then you are probably among those who are devastated to hear about the sudden passing of one of the film's stars, Kevin Clark. Kevin, who played the character Freddie Jones, aka Spazzy McGee, passed away on May 26th of this year at the age of only 32 years old after being involved in a tragic accident. According to news reports, Kevin had been riding his bike in a Chicago neighborhood in the early hours of the morning when he was struck by a vehicle. The actor was later rushed to hospital but sadly didn't make it. Kevin's death hit his family very hard because it was so sudden and so unexpected, and because he reportedly finally got into a good place in his life. When making a statement about Kevin's passing, the actor's mother told sources, quote, "He told his bandmates just yesterday, you know, this is finally the life I want to live, and we're going to make it. You're my musical family, my family, and we're all going to make it," end quote. Kevin had just started a new band and they performed for the first time on the weekend before he passed. Before this band, he was known for forming other musical groups and writing songs and teaching kids about music. His love for music and his drumming skills are actually what led him to getting the role in School of Rock, even though he had no prior acting experience. Kevin was an incredibly talented man who has certainly gone too soon. At number 6, Sean Connery. Sir Sean Connery was best known for his incredible talent, especially for playing the unforgettable and iconic James Bond. He was the first actor to bring the iconic character to life and starred in a total of 7 Bond films. His successful career spanned over 70 years, and he even earned an Academy Award in 1988 for his role in The Untouchables. Sadly, the actor passed away on October 31st, 2020 in his sleep while in his home in the Bahamas. The Scottish actor was surrounded by his family at the time of his passing. His talent and refinement as an actor defined an era and a style in the film industry, and the unforgettable charm and charisma that he portrayed on screen is something that defined his career in Hollywood. Sean was an inspiration to so many performers, forging a path for so many other talented people to make their way to Hollywood to try and achieve the same infamy as Connery. At number 5, Cicely Tyson. After having a career that spanned over 70 years, renowned actress and black icon Cicely Tyson passed away on January 28, 2021 at the age of 96. Cicely was best known for her portrayal of strong black women in TV and film. The actress became a beloved Hollywood icon through her work as an actress, model, and author, and at the beginning of 2021, Cicely published a memoir titled Just As I Am, where she shared the story of her life, how she became who she was, and how she was a pioneering force in shaping history. Cicely first started her public career as a model, later transitioning into the performing arts, making her way to Broadway, where she acted alongside other talented people like James Earl Jones and Louis Gossett. In the 1960s, Cicely launched herself into a hugely successful TV and movie career, where she made a point of prioritizing roles that, quote, showed the full lived experiences of Black Americans. Tyson later continued her career into the 70s, where she starred in the hugely successful series Roots, and later starred in more modern shows like How to Get Away with Murder. Other than her film and TV awards and nominations, Cicely also became a Kennedy Center honoree and was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama in 2016. Cicely leaves behind an incredible legacy, making her a good role model for a lot of young Black kids everywhere. At number 4, Nick Cordero. Nick Cordero was a talented actor who found a lot of success in all sorts of creative avenues. Nick made waves in TV and movies as he played characters in productions like Blue Bloods, Law & Order, and Momtown, and on Broadway where he appeared in shows like Rock of Ages and Waitress. Sadly, Nick passed away in 2020 at the age of only 41 after a long and difficult battle with COVID. Nick's wife Amanda Kloots shared his grueling COVID journey with their followers and kept them updated on his health until the end. There were a lot of complications and sadly he lost his battle, but Amanda now uses her husband's tragic story to advocate for COVID safety and to warn others about the consequences that this pandemic can bring. Nick leaves behind his wife Amanda and their young son Elvis. The actor was taken far too soon as he had so much more creative potential and he will be terribly missed. At number 3, Samuel E. Wright. If you're a fan of Disney animation, then you no doubt know the voice of Samuel E. Wright, best known for playing Sebastian the Crab in the Disney animated film The Little Mermaid. Though this role is what brought him the most fame, Samuel wasn't just known for his Disney role, as some may know him from playing Dizzy Gillespie in Clint Eastwood's Bird, as well as his role in a series of Fruit of the Loom commercials. Samuel began his career on Broadway, making his debut in Jesus Christ Superstar in 1971, and later going on to play Mufasa in The Lion King on Broadway in 1997. As I mentioned, his best known role is for playing Sebastian in The Little Mermaid, and this role is what he's most remembered for. He performed the songs Under the Sea, which won an Oscar for Best Original Song, and Kiss the Girl in the film. Samuel would later go on to talk about his dream to be very successful in Hollywood, where he said, quote, maybe not every actor would say this, but if I didn't want to be immortal, I wouldn't be acting. I do want to make my little mark on the world. An actor's worst nightmare is to hear 10 years from now, Sam Wright, who was Sam Wright? If you have that kind of attitude, you tend to take each role and make it the best role you've ever done. End quote. Samuel passed away on May 24, 2021 at the age of 74 after a 3-year battle with prostate cancer. At number 2, Helen McCrory. Harry Potter fans were devastated to hear about the passing of actress Helen McCrory, who fans recognize as the talented woman who played Narcissa Malfoy in the Harry Potter franchise. Helen sadly passed away on April 16, 2021 at the age of 52 after a difficult battle with cancer. Her acting career first began when she started performing at London's West End before jumping into the film and television industry, where she would go on to star in productions like Harry Potter, of course, as well as Peaky Blinders, The Queen, Interview with the Vampire, and Casanova. Upon her passing, Helen's husband released an emotional statement which read, quote, I'm heartbroken to announce that after a heroic battle with cancer, the beautiful and mighty woman that is Helen McCrory has died peacefully at home, surrounded by a wave of love from friends and family. She died as she lived, fearlessly. God, we love her and know how lucky we are to have had her in our lives. She blazed so brightly. Go on now, little one, into the air, and thank you. Helen leaves behind her husband Damian Lewis as well as their 2 children. And finally, at number 1, Dustin Diamond. Fans of the hit 90s show Saved by the Bell were devastated to hear of the passing of actor Dustin Diamond earlier this year. Dustin, who played Samuel Powers, aka Screech on the show, captivated audiences during its run between 1989 and 1992. Dustin, who was only 44 at the time of his passing, lost his battle with stage 4 lung cancer on February 1st, 2021. Fans learned of Dustin's cancer diagnosis just 3 weeks before the actor passed away. After his passing, Dustin's representative issued a statement to fans as well as to the press where they said, quote, he was diagnosed with this brutal, relentless form of malignant cancer only 3 weeks ago. In that time, it managed to spread rapidly through his system. The only mercy it exhibited was its sharp and swift execution. Dustin did not suffer. He did not have to lie submerged in pain. For that, we are grateful. End quote. The source also said that Dustin passed with his girlfriend by his side and was surrounded by love, which is really all you can ask for at a moment like this. At number 10, Don Rickles. Back in 2017, Toy Story fans were devastated to hear of the passing of Don Rickles. Don had a long and successful career as a comedian, but what most people remember him for is his role as the voice of Mr. Potato Head in the Toy Story films. Don had been the voice of this beloved character since the very beginning and was part of 3 Toy Story films before his passing at the age of 90. Don was set to take up his famous role in the newest installment of the Toy Story series, but sadly he passed away before the script was finished. When the studio was ready to begin production on Toy Story 4, they actually got in contact with Don's family and asked them if they would be willing to give them permission to use old recordings of Don's voice to bring Miss Potato Head to life one last time, to which they agreed, saying, quote, "He always said, keep my name alive, let them know who I am, so he would be thrilled by all of this, definitely." End quote. Toy Story 4 came out with Don's voice playing his beloved character and helping keep his legacy alive. At number 9, Marion Ramsey. Actress Marion Ramsey, best known for her time on Police Academy, passed away on January 7th, 2021 at the age of 73. According to sources, the actress passed away in her home in Los Angeles. Her agency rep, Roger Paul Inc., released a statement informing the public of her passing, saying, quote, "Marion carried with her a kindness and permeating light that instantly filled up a room upon her arrival. The dimming of her light is already felt by those who knew her well. We will miss her and always love her." End quote. Marion was best known for her performance as Officer Laverne Hooks in the Police Academy film franchise, beginning with the 1984 original, and then several role reprisals over the years. She was also known as a longtime advocate for HIV and AIDS awareness, and earned a lot of respect and praise for her work in fundraising for the cause. Outside of the film industry and advocacy, she was also known for her Broadway performances in shows like Hello Dolly and Little Shop of Horrors. Before I carry on talking about the rest of these stars, I would like to take a moment to ask you guys to maybe leave a comment down below sending some love to the families of the celebrities that we've lost recently. Loss is never an easy thing, so let's send some positive energy to those affected by their loved ones passing. At number 8, Diana Rigg. Though this actress took on some pretty big and legendary roles, some of her best works came from her time playing Emma Peel in the TV series The Avengers, as well as the wife of James Bond and Olenna Tyrell in Game of Thrones. Diana had a very successful career on screen, but also on stage, as she found success in the life of theater, making her Broadway debut back in 1971. Her life is filled with dozens of theater productions, television series, and films. But her career sadly came to an end upon her passing on September 10th, 2020. The actress passed away at the age of 82. Her daughter had reported that the actress passed away from lung cancer after being diagnosed with the disease back in March last year. At number 7, Jason Davis. If you're familiar with the Disney Channel show Recess from the late 90s/early 2000s, then you obviously remember the character Mikey Blumberg. His character was basically the nicest kid on the playground, a lovable guy with a knack for poetry and a good heart, always being the first to forgive people. Mikey's character was voiced by actor Jason Davis for the duration of the show series as well as its spin-off movies, but sadly Jason passed away last year on February 16th, 2020 at the age of 35. Other than appearing on the Disney Channel, Jason also had roles in Rush Hour, Beverly Hills Ninja, and Mafia. During his life, Jason did a lot of good for his community as he founded and dedicated himself to an organization called Cure Addiction Now. His organization's goal is to help fund research for those suffering from substance abuse and addiction, and he dedicated the year and a half before his passing to growing this organization. He brought many characters to life and dedicated his time towards helping others, achieving so many wonderful things in his life. At number 6, Deezer D. Actor Deezer D, who was best known for his role on the drama series ER, passed away this year on January 7th, 2021 at the age of just 55 years old. Deezer was a fan favorite among viewers of ER, and his role as Nurse Malik McGrath on the medical series was beloved by many, and as you would expect, fans were shocked and devastated to hear about his unexpected passing. His brother Emery Thompson announced his passing on social media, posting the announcement of his brother's passing to his Instagram account. Reports say that Deezer was found unresponsive in his home in Los Angeles on the morning of January 7th. An official cause of death was not released to the public, however, based on information provided by one of Deezer's other brothers, it is believed that the actor passed away from a heart attack. At number 5, John Riley. John Riley had a long, successful career, but sadly the beloved actor passed away at the age of 84 on January 10th, 2021. John began his rise to fame after playing roles on General Hospital and Beverly Hills 90210. John was originally from Chicago, and he started his acting career in the 1960s with guest starring roles on Death Valley Days, Apple's Way, and Gunsmoke. In 1984, his career moved forward and he starred in 6 episodes of Dallas, and from there he went on to portray Sean Donnelly on General Hospital for 11 years. The announcement of the actor's death came from his daughter Caitlin Riley, who announced the death of her father's passing on Instagram. However, the cause of death was not disclosed. Caitlin's tribute to her father was emotional and sweet, as she revealed that she made it in time to hold him and say goodbye, so we know that unfortunately the actor's passing was expected, which makes that a little more painful. At number 4, Cameron Boyce. One of the biggest and most tragic deaths that Disney has faced recently was the passing of actor Cameron Boyce back in 2019. Cameron passed away on July 6, 2019 at the age of only 20 years old. His death came shortly before the premiere of his film Descendants 3, where he played Carlos, the son of Disney villain Cruella de Vil. Before this film, Cameron starred in other hit Disney productions like Jessie, and had guest roles on Good Luck Charlie and Shake It Up as well. Cameron was a Disney fan favorite, but he was much more than that outside of the world of film and television. Cameron also loved to help people and was also a philanthropist. In 2017, 2017, Cameron helped raise over $27,000 for the Thirst Project. He aided in efforts to end homelessness. He worked closely with an organization that helped raise awareness and fight against assault on college campuses. He worked with an organization to help kids with sickle cell disease, and his final humanitarian effort was to partner with an organization to fight against gun violence. Because helping others was something that Cameron loved, his family set up an organization in his name after his passing to, quote, provide young people artistic and creative outlets as alternatives to violence and negativity, and provide resources to make a positive change in the world. Cameron did a lot of good in his life and continues to be someone for people to look up to. At number 3, Charlie Robinson. On July 11, 2021, actor Charlie Robinson passed away at the age of 75. Charlie had a wonderful and long career spanning over 50 years. Over that half century of work, Charlie made a name for himself, mostly thanks to his role as Mac on Night Court, which he is best known for. Sadly though, Charlie suffered from some serious health issues towards the end of his life. The actor had been diagnosed with metastatic adenocarcinoma, a type of aggressive cancer, and as a result of this and septic shock, the actor passed away from cardiac arrest and organ failure. He brought so much entertainment to so many people over the span of his career, and he and his talent will certainly not be forgotten. At number 2, Stan Lee. I'm sure you all know who the legendary Stan Lee was. He was a comic book writer, editor, actor, and producer, known for his creation and involvement in so many iconic Marvel characters. He was always a storyteller, as he enjoyed writing since he was a kid. He credited the books and movies from his childhood for his great success later in life. In 1939, Lee began working for a comic book publisher, which eventually evolved into the coveted Marvel Comics by the 1960s. What made Stan's character so unique is how his comic book heroes had more realistic and flawed qualities in comparison to rival DC Comics. Their success skyrocketed, and the Marvel empire grew into what we know it as today. Other than creating these characters, Lee also starred alongside them for many years, as he held cameos in many of the Marvel movie adaptations. For fans of the MCU, Stan's appearance was one Easter egg that we all looked forward to finding. Stan Lee lived an incredibly long and successful life until his death on November 12, 2018 at the age of 95. And at number 1, Michael K. Williams. Actor Michael K. Williams, best known for his role on The Wire, passed away on September 6, 2021 at the age of 54 after being found dead in his penthouse in Brooklyn, New York. According to sources, it is believed that Michael died of a suspected overdose. Michael became a well-known and beloved actor with the success of his time on The Wire, as well as his role on HBO's Boardwalk Empire. His most recent project, Lovecraft Country, brought him even more success, as he was nominated for an Emmy Award for his work in that production as well. Upon the announcement of his death, Michael's rep issued a statement which read, quote, "It is with deep sorrow that the family announces the passing of Emmy-nominated actor Michael Kenneth Williams. They ask for your privacy while grieving this unsurmountable loss. Michael was certainly taken far too soon." At number 10, Sebastian Athey. No matter where you are in the world, Disney makes an impact. Latin American Disney Channel actor Sebastian Athey was a star in a completely different part of the world than my own, and yet we all feel the sadness that came after his sudden passing last summer. Known for his role as soccer player Lorenzo Guerra on the Argentinian Disney show Once, Sebastian was well loved and a talented guy. Other than being a famed actor, he was also into the music scene. He was a singer releasing music as recently as 2019. He released his most recent song Freaking Out in July of 2019, and before that he released a song through Disney Channel called Play with the Heart. But before he got his big break on the Disney Channel, he got his start on a popular telenovela called La Rosa de Guadalupe, having appeared on 2 episodes between 2014 and 2015 as 2 different characters. He lived a good life, finding a lot of success until his tragic passing on July 4th, 2020, after suffering from a heart attack at the age of 24. He will be dearly missed. At number 9, Don Rickles. Toy Story fans were devastated to hear of the passing of Don Rickles back in 2017. Don had a long and successful career as a comedian, but I think what most people remember him for is his role as the voice of Mr. Potato Head in the Toy Story films. He had voiced the character since the very beginning and was part of 3 Toy Story films before his passing at the age of 90. Don was set to take up his famous role in the newest installment of the Toy Story series, but sadly he passed away before the script was finished. When the studio was ready to begin production on Toy Story 4, they actually asked Don's family if they would be willing to give them permission to use old recordings of Don's voice to bring Mr. Potato Head to life one last time, to which they agreed, saying, quote, "He always said, keep my name alive, let them know who I am, so he would be thrilled by all of this, definitely," end quote. Toy Story 4 came out with Don's voice playing his beloved character and helping to keep his legacy alive. I don't know about you guys, but there's no one else that I could see playing this part, so I'm glad they were able to do this. Thanks for being part of our childhoods, Don. Now before I carry on with the video, please consider leaving a like to help out the channel, and also check out my channel Viper Girl for some gaming content as well. At number 8, Nikita Pro Waligua. Actress Nikita Pearl-Waligwa, known for her role as Gloria in the Disney movie Queen of Katwe, sadly passed away in February 2020 at the age of 15. Nikita had been on a long journey battling a brain tumor from 2016 and again in 2019 after another tumor was discovered. Queen of Katwe's director Mira Nar actually helped to organize funds for Nikita's treatment during filming, showing how much the cast and crew cared for her. She played a role in a powerful film with powerful women, and she will always be remembered for that. She fought bravely through it all, and that will be something people remember. At number 7, Stan Lee. Stan Lee was a comic book writer, editor, actor, and producer known for his creation and involvement in many iconic Marvel characters. He was always a storyteller, as he enjoyed writing since he was a kid. He credited the books and movies from his childhood for his great success later in life. In 1939, Lee began working for a comic book publisher, which eventually evolved into the coveted Marvel Comics by the 1960s. What made Stan's character so unique was how his comic book heroes had more realistic and flawed qualities in comparison to rival DC Comics. Their success skyrocketed, and the Marvel empire grew into what we know it as today. Other than creating these characters, Lee also starred alongside them for many years, as he held cameos in many of the Disney movies. And since Disney owns Marvel, this makes Stan an honorary Disney star. For fans of the MCU, Stan's appearance was one Easter egg that we all looked forward to finding. Stan Lee lived an incredibly long and successful life until his death on November 12, 2018 at the age of 95. At number 6, Jason Davis. If you're familiar with the Disney Channel show Recess from the late 90s/early 2000s, then you would obviously remember the character Mikey Blumberg. He was basically the nicest kid on the playground, a lovable guy with a knack for poetry and a good heart, always being the first to forgive people. Mikey was voiced by actor Jason Davis for the duration of the show's series, as well as its spin-off movies. Sadly, Jason passed away February 16, 2020 at the age of 35 due to effects caused by fentanyl usage. Other than appearing on the Disney Channel, Jason also had roles in Rush Hour, Beverly Hills Ninja, and Mafia. During his life, Jason founded and dedicated himself to an organization called Cure Addiction Now. His organization's goal was to help fund research for those suffering from substance abuse and addiction, and he dedicated the year and a half before his passing to growing this organization. Before his passing, he was also working on a new show called The Two Jasons. He brought many characters to life and dedicated his time towards helping others, achieving so many wonderful things in his life. At number 5, Carrie Fisher. The world was shocked by actress Carrie Fisher's tragic passing. Having been beloved by so many, her passing affected so many people. Carrie passed away on December 27, 2016 at the age of 60 after having suffered a heart attack. Carrie was no doubt known for her role in the Star Wars franchise, playing Princess Leia. Since Disney bought Star Wars, this technically made her a Disney princess, which just made her that much cooler. Carrie began her Star Wars career at the age of 19, and it stuck with her for her whole life. When approached about the idea of portraying Leia again in 2015's The Force Awakens, she said, quote, "I knew that something enormous was likely going to impact my life in this film, and that there was absolutely no way of understanding what that was or likely be. This was her defining role, and there was no way that it would let her go." She brought Leia's bad character to life even after her passing, as the studio was able to bring her back to life on the big screen one last time in The Rise of Skywalker, which was released 3 years after her death. Though she had her struggles in life, which she opened up about, she was still an icon and is still dearly missed. At number 4, Chadwick Boseman. Marvel's Black Panther movie is one of their most successful films. I remember when it was first released and there were so many people going to see it, and so many people from the Black community saying how they felt empowered and represented by this film. It was a big deal and made Black Panther a fan favorite. Chadwick Boseman, the actor who brought King T'Challa to life, also became an icon, so when the news of his passing broke last year, fans were devastated. Chadwick passed away on August 28, 2020 at the age of 43 after a long and difficult battle with stage 4 colon cancer. Other than being cast in the MCU, Chadwick also played some big roles such as Jackie Robinson in 42, as well as James Brown in Get On Up. His family released a statement announcing his passing, saying how hard he fought until the end. Fans found out that Chadwick was receiving treatment for his condition at the same time that he was filming Black Panther, showing us how strong he really was. Chadwick really was a king on and off screen, and it's hard to imagine the MCU without him. At number 3, Robin Williams. Actor and comedian Robin Williams put a smile on everyone's face. He had the ability to captivate an audience so easily and always left an impression on every single one of his fans. Though he had a long and successful career, he also spent some time working with Disney, portraying a number of characters. He worked on projects like Popeye, Good Morning Vietnam, Good Will Hunting, Back to Neverland, Flubber, and more. His most notable Disney production, however, was Aladdin. Robin voiced the genie, bringing that magical blue goof to life in the most entertaining way. The genie was always meant to be played by Robin, as the character was even written with him in mind, and he brought the character to life in both the original Aladdin and the sequel, Aladdin and the King of Thieves. Sadly, Robin passed away on August 11, 2014 after he took his own life. Though it was originally reported that he suffered from depression, his wife later clarified that he was really suffering from a condition called DLB, saying that Robin's depression was one of many symptoms of DLB. Robin played a big part in many of our childhoods, as he starred in so many films that we watched as kids, and we thank him for that. At number 2, Lee Thompson Young. Though you may not recognize the name, you will surely recognize his face. If you grew up watching the Disney Channel in the late 90s and 2000s, then you might be familiar with Lee Thompson Young. Lee got his breakout role in the Disney Channel series The Famous Jet Jackson, where he played the famous action TV star Jet Jackson. This role was the first major role he got, and it set him up to have a successful career with Disney. After his time filming Jet Jackson, as well as its spin-off films, Lee then went on to star in the hit Disney Channel movie Johnny Tsunami and the subsequent film Johnny Kabahala Back on Board. After leaving Disney, he went on to star in different shows like Smallville, where he played Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, and in Rizzoli and Isles, where he played Detective Barry Frost. His role on Rizzoli and Isles was the last role that Lee had before his passing in 2013, where he took his own life. Lee had reportedly been struggling with his mental health, and so when he passed away, his family set up a foundation in his name called the Lee Thompson Young Foundation, with the goal of removing the stigma around mental illness. If you're ever struggling with your mental health, please reach out to someone or call a local crisis hotline. You are not alone. And finally, number 1, Cameron Boyce. One of the biggest and most tragic deaths that Disney has faced recently was the passing of actor Cameron Boyce back in 2019. Cameron passed away on July 6, 2019 at the age of 20. His passing came just shortly before the premiere of his film Descendants 3, where he played Carlos, the son of Disney villain Cruella de Vil. Before this film, Cameron had starred in other Disney productions like Jessie and had guest roles on Good Luck Charlie and Shake It Up. Cameron was a Disney fan favorite, but he was so much more than that outside of the world of film and television. He was also a philanthropist. In 2017, Cameron helped raise over $27,000 for the Thirst Project. He aided in an effort to end homelessness. He worked closely with an organization that helped raise awareness and fight against on college campuses. He worked with an organization to help kids with sickle cell disease, and his final humanitarian effort was to partner with an organization to help fight against gun violence. Because helping others was something that Cameron loved, his family set up an organization in his name after his passing to, quote, provide young people artistic and creative outlets as alternatives to violence and negativity, and provide resources to make a positive change in the world. Cameron did a lot of good in his life and continues to be someone for people to look up to.